Yeah, we've got the slides reversed, by the way.
Wait, are we starting with the video or should it be the agenda first?
It's me first.
Okay, but we have the order of the slides wrong. I'll scroll down to the agenda and then we'll come.
Yeah, Donna does the welcome and then it's introduction to student support. So I'm going to put the video after the agenda.
Okay, and it's on automatic scrolling, which I don't know how to undo.
You're kidding.
Good morning, everybody. We're having some technical difficulties.
Sorry.
Please bear with us.
No problem.
All right, we got it. So are we ready to go? I'm going to scroll forward to the agenda so Donna can welcome everybody.
So, all right, we all here? Or most of us are here?
Yes, Donna.
All right, good morning, everyone. I know I've met most of you, but just to remind you, I am Donna Cooper, and I'm the Dean for Student Success and Learning. I oversee our library and all of our tutoring services, our career employment services, adult education. I think that's it, maybe. So those are most of the areas that I work in, and so I just want to welcome you to day 2. I'm so glad that you're here, and we are so happy that all of you have come to join us at Fresno City College. I love working at Fresno City College, and one day soon when we come back to campus, if you have never been to the library, I encourage you to do that. Our library is one of our most beautiful buildings on campus. My children were younger, and I first started working at City Bay. At our main reference room, they always called it Hogwarts. And at the time, we had a librarian who had long white hair that he wore tied back, named David, and they thought he was Dumbledore. So they loved coming over after school and studying in our library because they could go to Hogwarts and talk to Dumbledore while they were there. So I do encourage you to come visit it. It's a very, very beautiful place. And I hope that you get a chance to do that sooner rather than later. So I know that all of you are probably feeling a little overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed, and I'm not learning all this new stuff right now, but I feel overwhelmed just helping to put some of this together and trying to get us ready for the fall semester. And so I know that some of you, we've given you lots of information over the last month or so, and a lot of information yesterday. And we don't really expect you to memorize everything we told you over the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, because we know that all of us are available. All of the ones who have helped put this together are available. You have faculty guides that are available. All of you have deans that are more than happy to answer your questions, and chairs. So you'll have mentors, you have your faculty guide. So there's so many people at Fresno City College that are willing to help. When I came as a new faculty member a number of years ago, there were just a lot of people that were willing to give me advice and help me out, and to make sure I got done and learned things were and what to do. And so I'm glad that you're able to be a part of this and that we're able to do that. So I just wanted to tell you that part of what we're doing. So today we're going to learn a lot about student support stuff, but tomorrow afternoon, just to give you an idea, you can start thinking about it. We're going to have a longer Q&A session for all of you. And so be thinking about questions that you still want an answer to. And if we don't get those answered before tomorrow at the Q&A time, you're going to want to put that in the chat and let us know, and we will work on getting those answers. So I hope that today answers many, many more of your questions. But as I said, today's focus is really on the kinds of support that we have here at Fresno City College, both for you and for your, and I think those are two really big pieces that help our students to learn. It helps them to stay in school. It helps them to know, it helps you as a faculty member to know how to help your students, because I know that all of us really care about our students, and it's hard when we don't know what's out there to help them out. So today's agenda is we're going to talk about student supports, have a video for you from one of our students has done. You've met him before, and we're going to share that with you. We're going to talk about mental and physical health. We're going to talk about academic learning supports. We're going to talk about how to help students navigate online. What are some things that you can do as a faculty member in the first week that will help them navigate the online services? We're going to talk about supports that are here for you as faculty members. We're going to talk about Title IX and harassment and discrimination, and I'm going to give you just some very basics about that. And we're going to talk about constituencies and the roles that all those play on campus, and the contract and the union, and again, have some a little bit of time for Q&A. So we have a lot of different people coming in to talk today and to share a little bit of information. And like I said before, each one of those people is there to help you. So if there's questions you have for them, they'll allow a little bit of time while they're talking to do that. But also make sure you jot down their name, and they'll be easily accessible through the library or the health center or psych services, all of those areas. And then if you don't remember who it was, just ask one of us. We are happy, more than happy, to always answer your questions. That's why we're here. We want to come alongside you and make your first semester, first year as successful as you want your students to be in class. And so anything we can do, just let us know, and we're happy to do that. So, okay, Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you very much. So we prepared a video for everyone to see. This is a great clip that everyone's going to have access to. We'll post it to the new faculty orientation website that we created with the Professional Development Office. It's a great video. It includes most of the services that we have on campus, some that have been covered yesterday and some new ones as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get that video started, please. And then if you could maximize the video window in the bottom right, there you go. And I think
Welcome to Fresno City College. As a student, there are resources here to help you succeed and focus on your educational goals. This includes how to get started and programs to support you and your needs in and out of class.
Get help with registering for classes, ordering transcripts, or applying for graduation here at the Admissions and Records.
Need money to pay for classes? Get help with some or all of your school expenses by visiting the Financial Aid Office. There you can apply for various types of aid, such as grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. Meet with the counselor to develop a student educational plan here in the Counseling Center. You'll get help with choosing a major and planning what classes you'll need to graduate on time. Outside of class, there are many ways for you to excel in your studies through peer tutoring in the Tutorial Center, Path Center for English support, and Writing Center. Don't have a computer? Not a problem. Use the computers here in our computer lab to complete your assignments and print with a pre-purchased copy card. No matter what your circumstances are, FCC has programs and services designed to provide the additional support that you'll need to succeed in all your classes. Make college the best experience for you through the special accommodations provided by disabled students and program services. These include adaptive services, ASL interpreting, on-campus mobility assistance, note-taking, and test-taking. If you served our country, let FCC serve you by supporting your educational needs with staff trained to guide you here in our Veterans Resource Center. We also provide services for our international students. EOPS opens the door for students who have financial, educational, or language barriers. They offer academic counseling, advising, financial assistance to all students who qualify. Calworks is another program to help students who have children. They are dedicated to providing services to low-income parents who are currently receiving cash aid and seeking to become self-sufficient through education. Let's break the barriers for undocumented students here at the Dream Center. Here they provide academic support and admissions, financial aid, and counseling for new and continuing Dreamer students. Not only is FCC here to assist you with classes, there are many services to address your personal needs to make sure you cross that finish line and graduate. We know it's hard to learn when you're hungry. Pantry is a free food store for currently enrolled students. Open every day, Monday through Friday. You can come grab a bite to eat or take some home so you can keep on studying. If you're feeling under the weather, FCC's nurses can help you feel better. The Health Services Office provides a clinic, over-the-counter meds, health assessments, and referrals. Life can be stressful, whether you're suffering from anxiety, or adjusting to college, or simply just need a safe place. FCC Psychological Services provides trained staff who are ready to listen and help. Ready to get involved in college life? Get your student ID card here at the Student Activities Office. And while you're here, check out the different athletic events, clubs, and other college activities you can enjoy here at Fresno City. Go Rams! Looking for a job? You can search for jobs here at the Career and Employment Center or on their website. They'll even help you develop a resume and practice interviews. So as you have seen, FCC caters to all your needs. All of these resources are at your fingertips. Just ask. You're not alone because FCC is your home away from home.
Thank you, Carrie. But wasn't that a great video? It certainly makes me long for
Hold on, I'm getting out of it. Okay, there we go. Sorry.
That's it. It's a great video. So we covered most of those services for students on campus yesterday through the links, the breakout session activity that we did. So we hope that that kind of gave you some context about the actual physical spaces of these student support services that are on campus. And you'll have access to that video as well. And just a reminder that all of these services are online. So what you saw in this video, although those are in-person services and that's the way the video was created, those services are still being provided in an online virtual format. And you're gonna learn more about that today. So speaking of, we're gonna transition to the next section of our orientation for today. We're so pleased and glad to have Dr. Montano here from Psychological Services. Dr. Montano is going to talk a little bit about the psychological services that are offered to the campus. You might have seen some emails go out recently about talking circles and healing circles that have been facilitated by Dr. Montano and his team. And I've got to say, they have done such an excellent job in facilitating, well, from the coordination to the facilitation of those talking circles in a virtual environment over the past couple of months. So special shout out to them for doing so. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Montano, who's going to talk a little bit about psychological services. And Carrie, if you could give him access to sharing his screen, that would be great.
Oh,
all right, can everyone see the screen? Yep, okay, wonderful. All right, so thank you for having me. Today I am gonna go over some of the psych services that we have for our students. I know this is geared more to staff, so I'll work in some of more of the related information for staff. So this is just a quick little overview of our district. You can see the breakdown of all the students at each campus. There are psych services at each campus as well. So I bring this up and I lead with this slide simply because a lot of you may have students that are going back and forth from different campuses. So it is important to know that we are at every campus. So I start off here by saying what we normally offer. So this is without COVID impacting what we do. Traditionally, we offer crisis services. These are walk-in services where a student in distress or in crisis can literally walk into our office and be seen immediately by one of our clinicians. Staff, I will say, does a great job at Fresno City in particular of highlighting students who are in need, in crisis, and will literally walk them up to our department. We are located above the bookstore in SC 214. So, I mean, literally you can walk students in when we're back on campus. We really appreciate that. If you don't walk students up, phone calls are always great as well. You can always call our main line and say, hey, I'm sending up this student. Please be on the lookout. And we really value that sort of teamwork across our campus. It really helps us out because, you know, they may come to us and they may not tell us the whole story. So if we get a little bit of background, like, hey, this is what this student has said to me, I just want to let you know they're walking up right now, just so we can take them back. Because if they don't meet our crisis criteria, we don't take them back immediately. We'll schedule them for a triage appointment later on. So it's good to have that info. Of course, we're Psych Services, so we offer therapy. We do group and individual and couples therapy. Individual, if they're new to us, they get 4 to 6 sessions. If they're returning, they get 2 to 4 sessions. So we do use a short-term model, which is what most universities and colleges utilize. We do, some of our clinicians, I do allow them, because we are a training program. So all of our clinicians are getting their doctorates in psychology. We do allow some to have long-term patients. So if there is a student who is a great fit for long-term and working well with us, we'll usually keep them on. That being said, we always are referring into the community and building those relationships with community clinics and practitioners in the Valley here. We have multiple groups that we run, and I'm going to speak a little bit more to that. We do a lot of outreach events, so you'll see us tabling on campus. You know, we get invited to do classroom presentations, and we really love those. So if anyone wants us to do that, you can literally email myself or call our main line and say, hey, I'd love for you to do a 10-minute presentation on your services. And we can do that for staff and students. And we can be topic specific as well. So if you want us to come in and do a talk on stress management, depression, anything like that, we can definitely do that. And we usually have a bunch of PowerPoints already ready to go. We do a lot of collaboration with national and state organizations. So like Each Mind Matters is a really big one in California, and we collaborate with them on big outreach events. So as you can see, Send Silence Packing is one. That's a huge national outreach we do on suicide prevention. We were gonna do it this past spring, but due to COVID, we had to postpone it. So hopefully in this upcoming spring, we'll be doing that. That outreach usually also garners media attention, so it's quite big. So we like to have quite an impact at letting people know what we're doing and providing outreach and assessment to help folks. We also do psych assessment, which is psych testing. So this is typically to help with diagnostic clarification. It can help us in-house if we're working with a patient, we're trying to figure out a diagnosis. But we also do ADHD assessments, which is a big one in college and university counseling. So you can always refer students up for testing if you're kind of seeing something. DSPS also handles like the learning disability, and I'm sure someone will talk about DSPS if not already, but we can do some of the ADHD testing. So that's what we normally offer. Our current services due to COVID-19, we're doing individual therapy over HIPAA compliant Zoom or over the phone. We're doing case management sessions, and that's just to make sure our students are doing okay, and usually trying to link them up with someone else in the community. So we really do take that approach of, hey, let's help the student get in with someone, if it's not with us, in the community, and we'll hold on to them till we know they're usually with someone. We're still doing outreach over Zoom, so presentations. Like Dr. Ramirez said, we've been doing talking circles, which I think is just really cool to see. It worked. This was something that prior to me coming to FCC, I worked at UC Merced, and we did a lot of talking circles on social justice issues. And it's really taken roots here at Fresno City and across our district. I will say this, since this is more for staff today, our talking circles, we did break them up as well for students and staff. So we would have staff talking circles to process what has been going on in our world right now with social injustices, and also how to, build that community healing, and also build a campus climate that is inclusive. So be on the lookout for more talking circles. We're always doing these. We did one for international and DACA students, I think about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. So we're building more, and we have more talking circles planned for the future. So be on the lookout. You'll see them updated on the website. Like I said, we offer the free 4 to 6 sessions. Let's see here. So due to COVID-19, obviously there are certain services we can't offer. I'll start with groups and couples. Right now, we haven't been offering that. However, we're going to start. We just had a new training cohort come in this last week, so I was training them. And we are going to be doing some groups and of course couples work online. We're going to be doing probably an art therapy group online, which is really cool. We've gone and done a lot of CEs and trainings on how to do that. We're going to probably do an anxiety toolbox, so that's learning skills to cope with anxiety. So we're building up our groups to move on to an online format. So be on the lookout. Our couples therapy, a little caveat to this, both individuals have to be students for them to be seen with us. So both have to be students. Of course, we're not doing the in-person outreach. We're not doing assessment because it's really difficult to do online, because a lot of that usually you're having them work with different tools and things like that. So right now we're not doing assessment. However, I'm going to see if we can do one assessment day actually on campus and following social distancing and keeping things as safe as we can. So that'll be a talk I have with the VPs across the district here soon. Another really important one here, and this is really due to the limitations of telepsychology. We're not offering crisis services like we used to. So when a student is in crisis, the protocol now is we want to connect them to hotline numbers, the National Suicide Hotline number. We want to give them like the text hotline, or of course we can call campus police to go out and do a risk assessment with the student. The reason we are not doing it is we're not set up to do like a crisis hotline. There are a lot of real intricacies to having crisis hotline numbers that we're just not set up to do. So unfortunately, we can't do actual crisis services now. That being said, I will say this to everyone in this office or in this room, virtual room, you can always call our main line or email me directly. My number will be at the end for consults. My phone is always open and I usually will call back right when I see a voicemail. I'm checking my email all the time throughout the day. So I respond to those. And like I said, I'm always available for a consult. So this again was geared more towards students, but stress happens and we're there for you essentially. So don't be afraid to refer students to us. So I'll just kind of skip over the slide because I'm sure you all are kind of aware of these little basics here. So due to COVID-19, we've had to kind of change our process of how students request our services. We're doing it through the website. So we have a little screenshot here, how to access our website. You'll go to Health and Wellness and then Psych Services. I would also encourage you to check out our website. We're constantly updating it and improving it. There's a lot of resources on there, and there are links for staff, like the do's and don'ts of when you have a student in crisis, managing reactions to COVID-19. There are a few like relaxation exercises on there as well. And of course, we have our huge list of community resources. So if someone says, you know, I don't really want to go to Psych Services on campus, you can say, hey, go to their website anyway. There's a huge list of community resources. So to request services now, this is on our webpage. It literally says right here, click right here to do your online intake form. They'll fill that out. It'll get forwarded to one of our clinicians, and then we'll schedule them for their Zoom initial triage is what we call it. And that's where we just get to know them, figure out what they're coming in for, and set up the best treatment plan possible. Whether that's keeping them here with us, referring into the community, or sending them to one of our groups. So that is all online. Like I said, we're here for you. Our hours are 8 to 5 during the semesters. In summer, we're 8 to 3:30. However, for me, I'm typically still 8 to 5. So here is our main line. It's 443-8687. We have a main Psych Services email. I've also got my email here. Like I said, you can always email me questions. You can email me and say, hey, can I please have a consult? Here's my callback number and I'll call you back. So we are here for you and our students. I know for staff, you probably already got this information, but we do not treat staff. You can use your EAP services. So I guess I'll pause for a quick second. If anyone has questions, I can take a few questions now.
If you have a question, just go ahead and raise your hand, and you can either do it in the chat or go ahead and just unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, Sam. It's Susie Nitzel. There's a question in the chat. We've created a Padlet for our new Employee Equity Academy. Could you send me your slides so that I can post them?
Sure, no problem.
Afterwards? Thank you. So yes, it will be a Padlet.
I have a couple questions if nobody else does. Oh, sorry, somebody else does have a question. If students are referred into the community for services, is it still free under the health fee?
So typically not, unfortunately. When they are referred into the community, the financial burden is on them. What I will say though, and what we really do to help our students is we do find a lot of low cost services. And actually, if you look at our resource sheet that's on our website, I would say 95% of them are low cost or sliding scale. So we really are trying to make sure that we're aware of who we're referring to. You know, it's, you know, even for the average Joe or Jane, you know, $150 a session is a lot. So we're not sending folks to those sort of clinicians that are charging that. We have those if they can't afford that, but most of the time we have other clinics and clinicians that work at a discounted rate. We refer a lot to the Gary Cannon Psychological Service Center, and we've worked out, I guess you could say, kind of like a little contract, informal contract, where they'll see our students for $5 a session. We also refer to Fresno State Family Services, and they also do a discounted service for our students. I believe it's typically less than $40 a session, typically around 20 to 30.
Thank you. Okay, so another question right now the Police Academy is still in session. If a cadet is having some emotional issues, how can they receive services since you're not on campus?
Yeah, like I said, we're doing all of our services via Zoom. So they could go to our website and request or fill out the intake form, the online intake form. Or you can literally call our main line. The student can call our main line and say, hey, this is Joe Smith. I'm interested in setting up services. Here's my student ID and call back, and we will get them usually within a day or two. We'll call back and get them all set up and scheduled.
Great. Next question. You mentioned that you still do in-class presentations through Zoom. For asynchronous classes, will you do a pre-recorded session?
Huh. Yeah, we can probably do something like that. I could delegate that to some of my staff and have them create a video and send that. Yeah, that's a great idea. And we're actually, you know, speaking of that, we are working on kind of a video series anyway, so that could be something I add to it. Right now we're trying to do anywhere between 2 to 5 minute little clips how to increase coping and psychoeducational things like that. So that's a great idea. We can do that.
And lots of people are saying, yes, please.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
So two questions I have that are kind of related that have come up in my classes over the years. And so our new people will certainly face this. So what if a student, we think they can benefit from psychological services? What's a graceful way to introduce that to them? And then also, what if we suspect a student is having some psychological distress, but is not willing to come to you? What should we as instructors do in those situations?
Yeah, I think I'll answer that one first. I feel like that is a very tricky situation. When you're seeing something, or a student's even voicing something to you that's going on in their personal life, and you recommend our services and they're saying no. Of course, we can't force anyone to see us. Even if someone says, hey, I'm suicidal, you can't force them to see us. I would say in that situation, if they're actively suicidal, I would say call Campus PD. They're the ones that'll come out and do that assessment. But I would say, as long as you're letting them know that we're here and that we're available, you're doing your job. Again, it's really, unfortunately, it's always on the student to take that first step. I mean, you can walk people up, like I said, and that sometimes helps bridge that gap. And it takes away some of the anxiety and the fear of, walking up and walking into psych services on your own. A lot of times that's super helpful. So you can say something like that, hey, I know right now you're a little ambivalent or anxious about going up there. Would it help if I walked up there with you and maybe even took the lead? Like, you walk in and say, hey, here's Joe. He's not sure if he wants to set up services. And we'll just say, hey, why don't we talk to him for a couple minutes? And we have no problem kind of doing that and trying to break through some of the resistance. But again, it's really on them. Giving them the information about our services, letting them know about our website is the best thing I think you can do in that situation. You can also, if you're really concerned, there's also the behavioral assessment team. I should say we just changed the name, so it's not the behavioral assessment team, it's the care team now. And that is where you can essentially file an online report saying, hey, this is what's been voiced to me. There's some mental health issues that I think is going on. And that gets routed to the care team. And that's a group of staff and administrators that get together, and we get this case and we'll say, okay, this professor's reporting that this person voiced depressive themes. And we take that, we talk about it as a team. I'm actually on the care team. And we process, and then we say, okay, what do we do? What sort of intervention do we do as a campus? So it's not necessarily psych services intervening, it's the care team. And a lot of the times we may give whoever reported that more information on what to do. If it's more of a mild case. If it's more severe, we intervene in different ways. But you can always do that. And we're using the system Maxient now to track those cases. So you can always fill out a care report.
And that's done through student services, correct?
Yeah.
There's a form there. Great.
Yeah.
So somebody in the chat said it would be helpful to have those videos in a place where we could access them and post links in our Canvas courses.
Yeah, we're going to be uploading those to our website. We're working on them right now. So they will be housed on our website. We're also in the process of creating social media pages. So we'll probably be posting them there as well. But yes, they will be in one location for people to be able to access. Carrie, what was your first question again? There was one other question you asked.
How do we gracefully, because I know a lot of people, there's a stigma with psych services. So how do we gracefully approach that if we think that a student could benefit?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things to just kind of normalize it, right? And have those talks. That's the way we take away the stigma, is just engaging the conversation. The more we say, oh gosh, you know, that's going on, I don't know what to do. Just talking, just being open, letting them know that, hey, people struggle, stress is normal. That's why I kind of had that slide in this one for students. Like, stress is normal. And we just normalize, whether it's stress, whether it's depression, whether it gets more to like the suicidal ideation, we normalize it. We don't need to run away from it. We don't need to have a lot of fear around it. I do teach a suicide awareness and prevention. And a lot of times people say, gosh, you know, I don't want to talk about it because I'm afraid that it's going to increase the student's suicidal thoughts and ideation. And it actually does the exact opposite. So the more we can just talk to them about what's going on in their world, in their mind, it shows them that, hey, this professor, this administrator, this staff member has my back. They understand what I'm going through. They can empathize with what I'm going through. Not that you're going to cure them, right? That's on them to cure themselves, saying, you know, seek the services they need, but you can always just be that ear and say, hey, yeah, I hear you. So I would say, there's no script per se, but I think saying, hey, I'm here for you, and just creating that container where a natural dialogue can happen. And then you can kind of work in there. You know, there are services and they're free. I mean, that's always a nice little hook you can throw in there. You know, they're free services. Why not take advantage of them? And they can help you out. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a way you can do that.
Thank you so much. So somebody asked in the chat, is that starfish, or is starfish only for academic concerns? I believe, is there a flag in starfish? I believe there is, isn't there?
There is. However, from what I've been told, is they're trying to move away from utilizing starfish as like an early like flagging platform. They want people to use Maxient more so for those concerns, and starfish more for the academic piece.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm not seeing anything else in the chat or hands raised.
So like I said, I'm always open. My staff is always open for consults. You know, we really try and build that networking with different departments and different folks. It's a little bit harder, you know, being distant, but don't shy away from shooting me an email. I really like that stuff, actually. I really like responding and getting to know other people. So we're there for you.
Sam, there's so many thank yous in the chat. So very, very helpful. And I think all of us who have taught for a while know that we need you, and we reach out to you occasionally. You know, thankfully it's not too often, but all instructors need to do that. So thank you so much. I appreciate
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Great. So let's thank you again, Dr. Montano, for coming out and sharing this important information. We're going to go ahead and go on with our agenda. So what we have up next on the agenda is 3 guest speakers who are going to share some more information about our library student support services, about our DSPNS services, as well as our academic learning support, or tutoring and supplemental instruction. So looks like there's still a relay on that slide. Sorry about that. We'll work through these glitches. So our guest speakers include Linda Kabashigawa, Susan Nariola, and Dr. Shushanik Silvas. Shushanik is going to start up, so I'll go ahead and turn it over, and I believe she needs to share her screen to display some information.
Yeah, I can start. That's no problem. Okay, let me share my screen. Give me a second here. Okay. Slide. Okay, how do I share my screen? That's not working. Hold on a minute. Sorry about that. I'm just like, thought library was starting, but I can do this. Let me share my screen. Open up the screen. Okay, here we go. I know what we're going to see right now. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, let's start here. No. Tutoring. Okay. Well, you already introduced myself, forgot to introduce, but so let's just jump in. So Fresno City has 5 tutoring centers. It's very comprehensive, and I'll just run through them. The tutorial center, the coordinator is Eric Sanders, and that center tutors content subjects. So you can drop in or you can make an appointment. They're all on Zoom. I'm going to show a little video just a little bit later that kind of explains how that works. And then of course the Writing and Reading Center, I coordinate that, and that is a writing and reading center to help with any writing and reading need across the disciplines, drop-in and appointments. And then we've got the PASS English Support Center. So PASS is an acronym for Peer Assisted Study Sessions, and Jennifer Dorian is the coordinator. Her tutorial center, her tutors are embedded in all English 1A courses with the COREC, and also some other English 1A. I'm not sure, I don't think it's everyone, but everyone with a COREC. And also she offers drop-in tutoring. And then there's the math tutoring, coordinator's Heather Walker, and her program is also embedded in the math courses with COREC, and she also offers drop-in tutoring. And then we have Extending the Classroom, coordinator is Matt Islas, and his tutors are embedded, and they're embedded in select courses or subjects. Actually, it's courses, I shouldn't say subjects, in select courses. And they are the courses that are traditionally challenging. And so he manages that. I have a little promotional video I wanted to show you. We are working on one for the whole tutorial, all of us together, but it is still in production, so it's not ready for you yet. But my tutors created a promotional video for the WRC. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. Let's see what happens here. Let's hope this works. Here we go. All righty.
All right, I need some help writing this paper. Tutoring options. Writing and Reading Center. Never heard of it. Let's check it out. All right. Here we go. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the Writing and Reading Center. Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. First, let me tell you about our services and how this all works. We're able to help you with any of your writing and reading needs. So whether you're just trying to figure out how to start your paper, or you're totally done, or you're somewhere in the middle, we can help you. We can help you brainstorm, organize, and work on formatting. But before I go any further, let's meet some of our team.
Hi, my name is Luis, and I'm an English tutor.
Hello, my name is Vrat Tan. I'm an engineering major, and I am also a writing tutor here.
My name is Dong Ann, and I'm currently a psychology major.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I am an English major.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shoshani Silvis, and I'm the coordinator of the Writing and Reading Center.
As you can see here, we are open during these times. If you're not sure if you will need help, but want to be able to access us easily, you can come in and just hang out in the room until you need help. Or if you want to meet with your classmates, you can do that here as well. Just inform the staff in the beginning. We are setting up a Zoom room called the WRC Lounge.
Tutoring is a great way to raise your grades and to learn how to be a better learner. Here we want to instill independent learning, meaning we want to set you up for the future to succeed.
We also help with research, drafting, proofreading, basic computer skills, and additionally, we're also a free service, so that's pretty awesome.
So Jeremiah, would you like to start your session now?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so let me get back to wherever I was before. I'm going to stop the screen share just really quickly, and just take any questions you might have about the tutorial centers, and then we'll move on, I think, to library and talk about library a little bit. Anybody have any questions? We're very student focused, very student friendly. And we are a peer tutoring service, so our students are tutoring our students. And it's a very effective way to tutor. And that data you saw was a little dated because we don't have 125 anymore, but the idea was to show, they wanted to show that it was beneficial and that it increased student success. So they pulled some data that we had in our Google Drive. But anyway, it gets the point across. So, and we do provide a lounge, which is going to be a new thing and kind of fun, just to give students a place to get together, to hang out, and to study together like they would do if we could only be face-to-face. And since we're not, we're trying to provide a place for them to do that and just to hang out. Someone to talk to, you know, just be around, since we're most of us sheltering still and trying to keep safe. So, any questions?
Sonic, we do have a question in the chat.
Okay.
How is the Writing and Reading Center different than the PASS Center?
The PASS Center is specifically geared toward English support, so English classes. And that program is also embedded, so they don't tutor the other disciplines, writing and reading in the other disciplines. It's only English support. The WRC is everybody else. So if someone is writing a history paper, or maybe they are writing something for their engineering course, or maybe whatever it is, they would come to us. And although we don't tutor content, we do tutor the writing and reading. And sometimes it is reading. They come in, particularly nursing students. I don't know if you've seen their textbooks, they're very dense, and they'll come in and they just want some help in reading comprehension. Also knowing kind of how to study it, note-taking skills, things like that. I've had students come in with their textbook, the chapter, they've turned it from a white background to all yellow highlights. And they're struggling. And we show them how to highlight to be effective and not turn the page from white to yellow, but really pull out specific things that they can focus on. So yeah, we do study skills and note-taking too. So PASS is just English. WRC is every other course that might require writing and reading. We do collaborate with the library. When we were face-to-face, it was great. We had an embedded librarian and research librarian, and that was great. We can't do that now, but we refer. So if we get a student that we see needs to do research and they haven't, gotten there, we can show them the databases, but then we'll refer to the librarian to take them further down that road. Any other questions in there?
Do you have tips to give students for reading that instructors can share?
So we use reading apprenticeship. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it uses, the methodology just engages the student on different levels so that they can engage with the reading. So, metacognition, finding ways that experiences they've had that they can bring to the reading. So yes, we do. We have tips and we have ways of breaking down what they're reading, annotating the text, speaking to it, meaning what don't I know, what do I know, what don't I understand, and then trying to find out. Well, a lot of times it'll be even as simple as vocabulary. There'll be a word they don't understand, and it then confuses the meaning. So write it down. I circle it. I don't know what that means, and then we'll go back and we'll look it up, figure out the meaning, in the context, and use all of those things to increase reading comprehension. send them to us. That's one thing you can do, and we can help them with their reading. Anything else? We welcome your students. We're just very excited. We've shifted our hours. We're 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. because we found that since we've been in our virtual campus, that students don't want to get up that early. We're finding we don't have, so we kind of used summer to see what the schedules would look like. And so we pushed, because what we're seeing is students want to come in later. I mean, they want to come in at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So after hours, we have partnered with NetTutor. I wanted to say that. And NetTutor, it's comprehensive. It's everything from content to reading and writing, math, all across the board. Students can access our centers through and NetTutor for after hours through your Canvas course, of course, but they can also use the, so in your Canvas, if you have it, I know some of you haven't been able to even work on it yet, but when that's up and running, you'll see that there's also the FCC Student Success Center, and in there are all of the centers that you can just click and go into the online Zoom rooms of all the centers. Resources, we have hundreds of handouts that we've created that are now digital. And so students can go in there and access those as well. Good.
It's Ray. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the, you covered some of the reading and some of the writing. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the math and sciences support that we have?
Yes. So Heather Walker is our the math coordinator, and she's partnered with math instructors, and they do group tutoring sessions. Math lends itself to that very well, and she all online. And they support, like I say, they're embedded. She has her tutors embedded in the math courses that have the co-rec with them. Donna, can you help me out? What math courses is there a math instructor here? I can't remember what math.
Sure. So math has done a lot of rearranging, as some of you that are in the math department may know. So they also have a co-rec with it for algebra and for statistics. Those are the two primary courses right now. I know they're working on some for a few other classes. And so our math center primarily has embedded tutors in Stats 11 with a co-rec, 42, Psych 42 with a co-rec, as well as, I think it's called, don't quote me on this, Math 3. 3A, I think, is the new algebra class that started this last year. And so they also do drop-in for almost any math class, but they do have embedded tutors just in every math class that has a co-requisite, which is about 75 of those right now, where they have an embedded tutor, and the same for the PASS Center. And PASS also does ESL.
Yes, that's right.
Then,
EGC, you know, that is the Extend the Classroom, which has been very successful, that program as well. And Matt is embedded in courses that are, like I said, traditionally challenging, that students have, been challenged in. And so his tutors support those courses and the students in those courses. So, did I cover everything? I don't know if I did or not. I do know that PASS also offers the PASS Cafe, which is our WRC lounge. We are encouraging students to just come in and connect. We've heard from our students that they feel disconnected because of not being in the face-to-face environment anymore. And so we're just trying to find ways to be a touchstone, a place for them to come together. And we often have, when we were face-to-face, Sam, you're sharing about psychological services, and Susan's going to share about DSPNS, but we often have walked students over to services, and now we can't do that. But once they're in our Zoom room, if they need help, we can share screens in their breakout rooms and take them right there, kind of in the same way as walking them over. And so we're always, you know, excited to collaborate with other areas, and for, you know, for the benefit of our students. If there's no more questions, I'm going to pass this over to library. Linda. Okay, we can't hear you, Linda. You're muted.
Am I good?
I do it all the time.
Am I good? Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So hi everyone, good morning. My name is Linda. I'm a librarian here at FCC. So I'm just gonna do sort of a quick run through of library services, but please, if you have any questions, let me know. We have a lot of things going on in the virtual realm right now, which we plan to continue even when we go back face-to-face, because we think they work really well, but please let me know if you have any questions. So I'm going to start off with our library collections. Of course, we have, as you all know, a lot of ebooks and print books and research databases. If you have any questions about those, feel free to contact me. If you'd like us to do any like demos or anything for either faculty in your department or for your students in your courses, let us know and we can definitely set those things up via Zoom. I wanted to mention about our ebooks that if you use ebooks that are included in the library collections, those do count as zero cost textbooks. So you can have your course designated as a free textbook in Webadvisor, which is helpful for students when they're searching for lower cost courses to take. But something I do want to highlight is about our library collections is our technology and equipment. So we are still loaning out those TI-84 graphing calculator for math and decision science courses, as well as the Psych 42 course, I think, that also co-writes with math. We are loaning out laptops and iPads with keyboards. Students can go to the link in that yellow box for our technology loans. It has all the information students need for fall checkouts, as well as links to the forms that they need to complete and to request the equipment, as well as make an appointment to come pick it up at the library. We are also loaning hotspots as well. We do have a faculty LibGuide. We have a lot of LibGuides. You might hear about LibGuides from some colleagues of yours who have worked with me or one of the other librarians to create a LibGuide or use them. We like this software quite a bit because it allows us to customize a lot of information to certain groups. And so we have one for faculty. The link is up top. And I have a screenshot here, but we cover a lot of things in this guide. So if you just have questions about how do I put an item on course reserves, or how do I request a library instruction for my class, or where do I send students to get research assistance, collection updates, and then also library and subject area responsibilities. That's the screenshot that I have on this slide here. So if you have questions about making a purchase for title or collection, you can look at this list, find the librarian who collects for your subject area, and just contact us directly. We work with you to decide what will be a good materials to acquire for the collection. So take a look at that. Again, the link is up here at the top, and I'll make sure I make this PowerPoint available so that you have all of these links. Okay. So research help for students. We have a lot of different ways that students can contact us. So we try to be as accessible as possible. We moved our in-person reference services to online. Our hours are in that yellow box for the fall. And so there's no appointment needed for our virtual reference desk. There's a link on our website, I think, that just says talk to a librarian on Zoom. They'll click that link and they'll be connected with one of the librarians who's doing that shift that day or that hour. So, and we can work through, share our screen with them, any questions that they might have. That's what we're there for. We have a research off campus guide, which we created as soon as we had to close, but we've been updating it throughout the summer. We'll probably continue to update it throughout the fall, depending on access of materials and things like that. But it's really like an all-encompassing guide about how to access research help, first of all, and down by how to access books and textbooks on reserve, streaming video and audio, how to request a wrap session. We also have webinars that we've started actually back in March, and we're continuing to do through the fall. And these are specific to like an EBSCO host tutorial, 30-minute, really quick thing on the features, best search strategies, and things like that. Google Advanced Search, so Laurel Dowd, who also coordinates our research assistance program, the RAP program. She does the Google Advanced Searching webinar, and it's the students rave about it. They love knowing all of these tips and tricks about Google Advanced Searching and things like that. So that's a really fun one as well. And I forgot to include it in this slide, but we are still doing what some of you might know as BIs, bibliographic instruction, or library instruction, where we would come visit your class and do a demo, or have the students come to the computer lab in the library. We are still doing that just via Zoom. We can do a pre-recorded session, or we can do a live session and record that so you can make it available for students who can't attend the live session. So it's really up to you. We're being very flexible with how we can continue to serve you, and of course students. Okay, sorry, I have the chat open, so I keep looking. I'll answer questions at the end. And so something that's new is our research tutorials in Canvas. So these are self-paced. Students can earn a certificate of completion. I'm working on badges, so we'll have badges soon. But for right now, they can get a certificate of completion. Upon completing the module, they'll take a quiz at the end, and they have to score 100% on the quiz. Then they apply for the certificate of completion, and we send that to them as verification that they completed the module. And so we have different modules that are up right now. So there's an intro to the live, there's an intro to research and getting started, how to use our OneSearch catalog, and evaluating and selecting sources. And these take about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to complete. Again, they're self-paced. So I think they're nice if you want to sign that for extra credit, or as an assignment, and students can take their time to complete it for that. And so the link to enroll is down here, but I can also paste that into the chat box so you have that you can share with students. I am working on a plagiarism and citing and an MLA and APA style one, which I'm gonna have to talk to Shoshonic about these two as well, because I'm incorporating a lot of WRC things in these. But the ones that are the bullets at the top, those 5 modules are open, they're ready to go. And so you can enroll in the course, or have your students enroll in one of the course, assign one of those modules, and just use that as participation or something. I know I kind of zoomed through everything, but I do have a Flex Day presentation coming up, so I'll be able to talk about all of these things, answer more questions in depth on Friday at 11. My email's down here, so feel free to email me. I know somebody asked about worksheets and things like that. So if you do, we create scavenger hunts for courses. I just completed creating or collaborating on a module for an engineering course this summer that's going to be used in the course this fall and in the spring. So I love doing that kind of stuff, like collaborating with faculty and creating materials specific for your students. We also create those guides that I showed you a little earlier. We create those for specific courses, specific assignments even. And so I've gotten to work with quite a few faculty and curating material specific for that course or that assignment, and making it available for students using, of course, our library resources that are free for students. But if you have any questions, email me. If you want to collaborate on something, please do. Our phone number is also there, so you can also contact us that way as well. But email is probably best for me. That's the best way to, I'm always checking my email.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have questions? Do we have any questions? Let me see. Everyone loves the rap sessions. I can see that. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, rap sessions are great. I don't know if I mentioned them. I don't know if I explained exactly what they are. They are basically one-on-one research consultations with the librarian. So the students request a rap session, and we get a lot of information about the research they're working on. So we want to know what the specific assignment is, if it's a speech, if it's a paper, if it's a presentation, the types of sources that they need, of course, the topic that they're focusing on and what class it's for. We also like to know who the instructor is, because every time we have a rap session with the student, whether or not they get extra credit for it or credit for it at all, we like to tell the instructor that your student used the library, they came to us for research help. And these rap sessions last about an hour, and we prep beforehand. So we already know, the best resources to look at with the student and walk them through.
Same. We like to see the prompt. We like to see, more information we can get, the better we can help our students. That's great. You know what I did leave out, which I think is critical, is that all of our tutors are peer tutors, and they have to have achieved an A or a B in English 1A. So they have to have the academics behind them. But very importantly, they are equity trained. Our tutors have participated in the core trainings, and my trainings are focused on equity. In fact, yesterday we began a training on how to be an anti-racist, Ibram X. Kendi's book, and our tutors are excited about it. It's giving them the framework they need to serve their fellow students in the best way. So I wanted to say that because it's really important. It's part of the culture of the WRC, the PASS Center, the Tutorial Center, math, ETC. We're very focused on equity and what that means and what that looks like and how that can come to life on our campus through our centers. Okay. Susan, are you here? I think you're... Oh, there you are.
Susan is here, yes.
I'll pass it to you. Yes, okay. Go for it, Susan. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Let's see if I can share my screen here. All right. Can you guys see my screen, I'm hoping? Yes? Perfect. Okay. So I think that's a great segue in regards to diversity and equity for DSPS, right? So DSPS stands for Disabled Students Programs and Services, and I'm the director. If you have never worked with a student with a disability, most likely at Fresno City, you will. Just forewarning you now. So, and you will most likely probably speak to me or one of my counselors. And ultimately, I'm going to tell you a little bit about AIM, because that is our new accessible information management system. And that is how you receive your accommodations from your students, since we're virtual. And luckily we rolled this out just in time. But ultimately, DSPS is the designated department here at Fresno City, where we determine reasonable accommodations for our students to provide equitable access through the interactive process through counselors, and ultimately so they can be successful in whichever pathway they have decided. So we work with a variety of disabilities, from deaf and hard of hearing students to students that are blind, that have autism, possibly a mental health disorder or disability, and a variety of others. So we have no limit. So when I say that you most likely will have a student with a disability, it's important to know what AIM is. Again, I have 4 slides, so I'm not going to take up much of your time, but in the end, you'll find out more information on how you can actually learn how to navigate the system. So I will continue on now. I'm going to show you a quick video that we actually created. So let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Students, Programs and Services is excited to introduce you to the online tool called Accessible Information Management. AIM allows students to apply online to receive academic accommodations on campus. All paperwork is available online for students and faculty.
Susan, is everyone able to hear this? I can't hear it. Is it just me?
No, Susan, you need to share your sound.
Oh.
So do a new screen share. And at the very bottom on the left of that pop-up window, it'll say click.
Share computer sound.
Exactly.
Okay.
By using your single sign-on.
Let me go back. Okay.
The Disabled Students Programs and Services is excited to introduce you to the online tool called Accessible Information Management, AIM. AIM allows students to apply online to receive academic accommodations on campus. All paperwork is available online for students and faculty. Students and faculty can access AIM from My Portal at fresnocitycollege.edu by using your single sign-on information. Call us at 442-8237 or visit us at Building A. Fresno City College and the DSPS staff are here to help.
Yes, you are supposed to be watching the video right now. Is that not working?
Is it that AIM?
You need to do a new screen share.
Oh my goodness.
And share, yeah.
Get out and come back in. Okay.
When you switch windows, it doesn't automatically follow you.
Yeah, you need to share your, yeah. Unless you do a full screen share.
I could try it if you, because I have to.
You have it?
She's got it. She needs to practice for Flex tomorrow.
Okay.
I need to practice. I do. I need to practice. This is what happens when you have so many little Zoom ninjas on your team that like do everything for you. And now I'm like, okay, so here we go. So once I get on there, this is the
go to the bottom, click share screen, new share.
Okay.
On your Zoom meeting controls.
Jennifer when I need her. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Meeting controls. You are share screen. Okay. So I'm going to click on the video, I'm assuming, and I'm going to share.
Yes. So we planned this for all of you so you could see what might happen in your class.
Yes. Perfect. Here we go.
The Disabled Students Programs and Services is excited to introduce you to the online tool called Accessible Information Management, AIM. AIM allows students to apply online to receive academic accommodations on campus. All paperwork is available online for students and faculty. Students and faculty can access AIM from My Portal at fresnocitycollege.edu by using your single sign-on information.
We're frozen.
College and the DSPS staff to help in your success.
Okay, so let me go back to my new share. My internet cable, okay. Now am I back on my PowerPoint?
Yes, you are, yes.
Okay, yes, all right. Thanks for the tutorial today. All right, so current slide, okay. So that's a little bit about AIM. Obviously, we're focused more on students, but we do want to help the faculty navigate the system. And so, again, like you saw in the video, it's a case management system for the students that are part of our program, or DSPS. And now you have to remember that not all students, and this is, I think, the biggest concern that faculty have, or that what I've heard from managers, is that students decide to, halfway through the semester, decide that they want to activate their accommodations. And that is appropriate. They have the ability to do that. They have the right to decide, especially our new incoming high school students. What will happen is they've been through the K through 12 system, and they're tired of using their IEPs or utilizing special ed. So they'll come in ready to go for college and not wanting to access DSPS, and they find halfway through that they do need our services. So I know that some faculty get a little upset that, well, why did I just receive my accommodation letter? Or why am I barely being notified halfway through the semester? Well, they have the right to do that. And so I think it's, I guess, one challenge for faculty is that you're not always going to know the first day of class. So just be aware of that, and be sensitive and open to the idea that you may not know the very first day. And I think just a bit of advice would be to make sure all of your Canvas videos and any instructional materials that you're going to use are accessible, because ultimately, I know a lot of faculty, even just this summer, end up having information that they're trying to give to students, and it's not accessible, and so they have to revamp their whole, class. So my suggestion to you would be, to just make sure that your materials are accessible. Again, instructors will receive an email from the dsps.aim email. You'll receive this electronically, and so then you will be notified to get into your apps, which is I don't know if you've learned about the portal yet, but you'll log into the portal, and that houses pretty much everything that you need access to. And what you'll do is you will download the AIM icon, which is the gray icon on the left, and you will be able to access per class. So the classes are broken down, because of course, if you have 150 students, right? It's a great way to, where it houses all of the accommodations broken down by class and student, and you're able to click in and get that information. Again, I think it's a great service. I'm not going to go over that service today, but I will show you how to, because most likely you have gotten so much information that you will forget half of the stuff that we talked about today. But I do want to show you our website really quick. And I'm hoping, is it showing? I'm thinking it is. So
no,
what you would do.
We're still seeing your slide.
Yeah, we don't.
Oh, you are? Okay. So I need to share that really quick.
While you're seeking that out, I have a question here from,
yes.
Is there any help for instructors on making their course materials accessible?
That's a great question. We do have a handbook on our website, and can you see our website? Is it up right now? Yes. Okay, so we service students with disabilities, but I do get a lot of questions, not only from faculty, I also from the deans, and even up to our VPs in regards to helping our faculty. And we do have a handbook that is about 46 pages long that you will not want to read, but it does, on one page, there is a, there is a page that will provide some resources outside that, and really in-house also. We help somewhat, a little bit in our department in regards to accessibility documents, but we do have a lot of resources. Again, our focus is on students, but we do know that we want to help the faculty so that they're successful in their classes and they provide the accommodations. Most tutorials would be on Canvas, and I hate to give out Jody's name because Jody is, she doesn't help with accommodations, but that is something that we definitely need as a district. I hate to say that out loud, but we do need more assistance in regards to helping faculty with accessibility. So But we do have a variety of tools from the Chancellor's Office and outside sources in regards to helping faculty. Okay, so here's our website here. What you would do is when you would click on Fresno City College, you would go to Student Services, and located under Student Services is the Disabled Students Programs and Services tab. Once you click on that, it will take you here, and there's a variety of tabs here on the right. One of those tabs is AIM. And so here, as you can tell, or as you can see, this is the section here that has faculty. Once you click on that, it doesn't take you to the portal, but it does tell you here that Fresno City College, this is a new online tool, and that you can click on here, and it's located under Apps Catalog, where you would download that gray tool that I showed you in the last slide, and you would go onto your My Portal. There's a search engine up at the top, and then you'll be able to download that. And again, you'll receive an email, and then you would be able to get that information once you have that downloaded into your portal. And so, and again, I'm just going to show you really quickly where that handbook is at, just so if you can remember anything, maybe a resource. And I do believe you probably found that in your scavenger hunt if you've already completed your scavenger hunt. If not, I'm giving you a little bit of a cheat here. And this is where your faculty guide is that we've created. And as you can see, there's a whole lot of resources for students and one little tiny bit of resources for faculty. But we are trying to provide faculty with more resources. So let me go here really quick, back to my last slide, and I won't take up too much more of your time. So here again, this is the AIM icon that you would download, and this is for students. And it does specify instructor versus students, okay? So here, our upcoming Flex Day AIM presentation, and that is where we will go through each step, and we will also show you what a faculty notification letter is. We will have a mock student so that you can see what it looks like on the faculty side, and a variety of other resources. I will be a part of that, and two of my counselors, Sage and Tiffany, will be a part of that. Again, that's on August 7th, 2:30 to 3:45. That's our Flex Day information. It's also located, I'm not going to show you, but if you click on that, it takes you back to the Flex Day presentations where you sign up if you haven't done so already. Other than that, welcome to Fresno City, and I'm sure I'll be working with you all soon. If you have any questions, I think I have a few moments.
We do have a question.
So actually, Shoshonic, we're actually running pretty far behind at this point. So I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind answering the questions in the chat. Would you mind?
Sure, I'll do that.
We take our break.
Okay.
So thank you so much. That was really helpful, and there are a lot of people saying that. So let's go ahead and do our break, and then we'll have Susan answer those questions in the chat. So let's come back. Can we do 7 minutes and come back at 10:30? Let's do that. We'll see you in a little bit. Start the meeting again. And next up we have, hold on. Ms. Sally Potter is going to tell us about helping students navigate online. Hi, Sally.
Hi, and then can you remind me what is our end time that we're aiming for? Susie or Carrie?
10:55.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, 10:50.
10:50, okay, I'll go fast. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing is just popping the Padlet link into the chat for you. Just as a reminder, just so you have it at your fingertips. And then I would like to share my screen if possible, Susie. So the document that I want to show you is in the Padlet, and it is the top document under 3-day orientation. So let's see. Okay, so hopefully you can see my document. It's called Preparing Students for Online Learning. Okay, so let me just tell you a little bit of a background here. Couple weeks ago, who was it? Donna Carey, someone asked me to just give a little advice to this group about what to do to prepare students for online, learning, for this new online environment. And, that made me think that, everything that I do at the beginning of the semester for my students, I teach about half my load usually in online courses. And just made me think that, in normal times, in our usual times, everybody knows these days, most all students, most every instructor knows that online classes are not easier than face-to-face classes. So students who self-select normally to take online classes normally already know this. They already know that they are taking on this kind of burden, and they do it because they have to. They have to, it's their only choice. They have work commitments, family commitments, transportation issues, whatever. So they knowingly sign up for taking online classes, knowing that they are going to have to do probably more work than they would if they came to campus. But this is not our reality today. So today we have all of our students who are thrown into these online classes, and most of them do not want to be there. They would rather be face-to-face if they could. A lot of them are nervous about it. They've had a bad experience in the past. Now they've had maybe a bad experience in the spring, either if they're returning Fresno City students or returning college students, or if they're high school students. So they may be nervous about it. And then I have been doing a little research this summer for a Flex Day presentation that I'm doing on Friday. And looking at, what we know about success in online courses. What are the things that researchers have found help students to succeed? And there is, looking at the research, there's a pretty clear answer. They looked at different aspects, including, technology, if the instructor is really good at integrating the technology and the different technology tools. They looked at pedagogy, if the instructor is really good at scaffolding those assignments to lead up to, the summative assessment at the end, those kind of things. But what they found makes the biggest difference for all online students, and there is one particular study that I found that particularly focuses on Latinx students, is that the most important thing is showing instructor presence, showing your presence, showing that you as an instructor are a real live human that is somewhere behind your course who is teaching your course, okay? So that students can feel that there's a person there, that they're not just clicking buttons like, they might in a, driver's training course or something like that, where they're just going through. No, when they can feel, when they know that there is a real person there, that's what helps them to succeed. So, okay. I put together this little set of kind of like tips, or it's actually more like things that I do. And, when we start looking at this list, you're going to see it's a lot of things. I don't always do every single thing, and I'm not suggesting that you have to do every single thing. This semester, I am going to try to do as much as I possibly can, though, because these are some kind of easy, quick ways this week, next week, and then also week 2 that you can use in your courses to reach out to your students so that they can see that there is a real live human instructor there and give them some kind of guidance that way. Okay. There's also another caveat that I want to let you know, and that is that that email that we were talking about last week that Don sent from the Office of Instruction that suggested that we publish our courses 5 days prior to the beginning of the semester. Okay, so that's Monday's technically the beginning, so 5 days prior would be tomorrow. That's not what my guidelines say, and I am personally not ready to publish all of my courses tomorrow, but my goal is going to be to do that on Friday or Saturday. If I don't have my courses published by Saturday afternoon or evening, I'm probably going to start getting emails from students. Students are going to start asking, where's the course? Where do I find it? They're worried that their course isn't going to go through or something's happening. So if you can, try to get those up this weekend. And then there's another thing that you can do is to send a welcome message through Webadvisor. And once you go into Webadvisor and you go to your faculty menu and then you go to the top link that lists all of your courses, if you click into each class, there's another little link that you can click that says email students. So it's a real easy way to just click a button, you put your message in there, and I will suggest emailing them first through Webadvisor. And part of what you want to do is just directing them to Canvas, their Canvas dashboard. And then shortly after that, and again, this is my goal to do this by Saturday, is to publish my course. And when I do publish my course, I'm going to send another little thing to them. Probably that will be a video. When I publish my course on Saturday, I don't have to even have the first week stuff done. I really just need to have my syllabus up there and make it available for them to get to. That's the most important thing. And then if there's any orientation things that I can also do. For the first week's assignments, I have some suggestions here for you, different assignments that you might want to include. You can see that there's, there's kind of a little bit of an overlap here. But you definitely want to have some kind of a check-in assignment, probably due Wednesday or Thursday of the first week. And that's what you can use. And you want to make it really clear everywhere that you can, that this is what you're going to use as a kind of an attendance assignment so that you can see who's there. And you want to put that information on blast everywhere. I was looking at some of my old welcome messages, and the tone of my message regarding that is not the best, so I'm rewriting it. It was something like, if you do not complete this assignment, I will drop you by this date. So I'm looking at it with, an equity mindset now, and I have changed it. I'm going to explain to them the reason why they really need to complete this assignment, so I know who's there. Other students may want to add, and I need to know who to drop, that whole thing. And then I'm going to, instead of just dropping them if they don't complete it, I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to do it 2 times. I'm going to reach out to them by email, and then I'm going to go to Webadvisor and get their phone number. And you can see on Webadvisor if their phone number is a cell phone or a home phone. So I might have to call some students. That's not my first choice, but I will do that. And then I'm going to give them a week. And if they don't respond within a week, then to at least 2 messages, maybe 3, then I will drop them. Now, after I drop them, it's not impossible to reinstate, but there's some steps that I have to go through, and it's kind of a pain, so I want to try to avoid that. Another thing that you should do during the first week is some kind of an icebreaker activity, something that is designed to kind of build a community, a learning community for your students. Typically you do it through a discussion. There's the famous, for those of you who just went through the online training, the famous 2 truths and 1 lie, or whatever that is. I'm, sick of that at this point. What I'm going to do for my orientation discussion or introduction discussion is something with the artifacts. So I'm going to have them share a picture of their artifact and just explain it, similar to what we did here, but in a discussion board. You also want to try to get some kind of a student survey, and whatever information you need to collect from them. That's, you know, depending on your discipline and the information that you need. In my English classes, I typically have a lot of EMLS or ESL students, adult English learners. So one of the things I ask them is I want to know what other languages they speak. I also want to know what other classes that they've had at Fresno City, because I want to know if this is their very first semester at Fresno City or if they've had classes in the past. And then of course I want to see what their writing looks like. Another thing that I'm going to do is have a syllabus quiz, which is real short, 4 or 5 questions. It's asking about the most pertinent information that I need them to know right now. I'm not going to, you know, ask them something tricky about the SLOs or anything like that. It's going to be like, when are the office hours? You know, what book we have to get, when we need the book by, those kind of things. I'm not going to ask them when the day of the final exam is, or final meeting, because that is, we can deal with that later, just what they need to know right now. This document, oh, let's see, there's a bunch of stuff in the chat here. Okay, maybe I can look at that later if we have time. Okay, so I did want to show you, I did want to direct you to our Padlet so you can have access to this document for these links. So the really good thing about Canvas is that they have these incredible Canvas guides, and the Canvas student guide is, you know, is really remarkable. You can take a look at it there through the link. You can pick out certain things that you want. You can give students the Canvas guide. You know, when you have something that you want them to do, you know, it's a good idea to put the tutorial of how to do that right there in the assignment. But the great thing about it is that you don't even need to know how students do it to give them this information. Canvas takes care of it. And the great thing is Canvas makes a little change in like the format or moves a button or the titles of buttons, then the guides are updated right then and you don't have to worry about it. You can just keep using those same guides. So it's really nice. Let's see. I did want to mention about the notification preferences. So when you, and this is actually a good thing for instructors to also, shoot. Okay. Just looking at Susie's message here. Okay. So when you go into your notifications, I don't even know what the default is, but students have almost everything turned on when they first start. And so what happens is the Canvas notifications are connected to their Fresno City email address. And so they will get emails on everything under the sun. Every time you make a change, slight change, big change, anything, they get all these emails. And it can get to be overwhelming to the point that they may miss important information. So this is one thing that I always suggest for students. Make sure that they have announcements turned on immediately and conversations. That's Canvas inbox messages. And everything else, I suggest turn it off. If they really want to see that, they can turn it on. And I'll make the same suggestion to you to turn almost everything off. You might want to have comments because when students submit a comment on an assignment, then you can get an alert. But you can decide if if you like it or not. You can change your notifications, but that's a good thing to do. Another thing that students can also do, and you can do as well if you want, is they can add another form of contact. So within the profile, you can add an additional email address. For example, if it's easier for them to check their Gmail on a regular basis, they can even add their cell phone number so they can get text messages when they have a Canvas notification. So that's something that they might want to do. The Passport to Canvas is a really robust site. It has a lot of information there. And I don't know if every instructor needs to require their students to go through all of the Passport to Canvas, but it's something that you might want to consider and you might want to take a look at. I was just browsing through there actually yesterday, and I learned something I didn't know about Canvas. So I'm excited about that, how to make those color things go off of my dashboard little icons. So my dashboard looks nice and crisp now instead of muted. So there's all kinds of, everything under the sun for Canvas is in there. And all students have access to those. So you can grab the URL of a particular page or even the home page and then just post it in your course. And then I also have the Student Support Hub there that you could refer to that in your syllabus. Sorry. And then at the bottom of this document, I did give a little, because I'm suggesting that you might make a welcome video. So I just give a little instructions here on how to use Confer Zoom to record a video. So little confusion about Confer Zoom versus regular Zoom. You really want to make sure for class that you're using Confer Zoom and not the free version of Zoom. Confer Zoom has more features, including a longer recording time. I believe that the free version cuts you off after 30 or 45 minutes of recording. If you are entering Zoom through your Canvas course, then that's automatically going to be Confer Zoom. Or you can go straight to this link and then sign in. You shouldn't have to sign up. Everyone should be in. So the credentials should be your Fresno City email address and whatever password you're currently using. They've already given that information to Confer Zoom, so it should be set up. I confirmed with Dawn and John Wilson earlier, or last week or earlier this week, that's true. So I think that that's true. And then the best way, the easiest way to put captions on any video is to pop it up on YouTube. Captions generate automatically. They're really easy to edit. So I suggest everyone doing that. And then you can just either grab the link or the embed code and put that into your course. Yeah, no, there's no reason for that. The YouTube captions appear really quickly and they're easy to turn on, and YouTube is kind of a pretty easy platform that most people are familiar with. So that's mainly the reason why I use YouTube. And you can set your page or your YouTube channel, I guess, to either be private, so that they would need a kind of like a login, or what I do is I set it to public but unsearchable, and you can get into the settings and mess with that. So that way, if someone is like searching, I don't know what they would search, but some topic of my course, then my video is not going to come up, but my students will be able to get into it seamlessly. Okay, and so I think that's it. I've been talking this whole time instead of really showing you anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop sharing right now. And then are there any, man, there's a lot in the chat here. Any questions that I didn't get to?
A lot of it's engaging back and forth.
The emailing, messaging from the grade book is oh my gosh, so convenient, so powerful. Go into the grade book and up at the top where you see the name of the assignment, there's 3 little dots. Click on those little dots, and then it will say there. One of the options is a message students who. And then when you go into that, you can choose if you want to message students who haven't submitted, message students who have under a certain score or above a certain score if you want to give kudos. What I generally use that for is the day after assignment is due, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to message everyone who didn't submit and say, what's going on? Tell me, do you need an extension? Why are you late? What's going on? And just really reach out to them. And it's just, I mean, it's so easy to do that. You don't have to even get into your email to do that kind of thing. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you're emailing students through Webadvisor, that is probably the best way to get to them before the semester starts. But then once you're up on Canvas, then maybe you want to just stick to Canvas and messaging them through the inbox. But of course, you know, that your waitlisted students will not appear there if you wanted to reach out to them. Okay. Any other questions?
Sally, thank you so much. And that's going up on Padlet, right? The document.
It is there. Yeah, it is there. It's the top one on the under 3-day orientation.
So I took Sally's class over the summer and learned all this stuff, but still I'm like jotting down notes and oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And so thank you so much.
Know, and it is a lot, you know, it is a lot to do. I am personally feeling overwhelmed right now, even though I've been teaching online for a long time. I'm teaching 2 classes online that I've never taught online, so I'm building those. And just the, you know, the thought of students are just going to need a lot of extra care and comfort, and you know, that's draining. And so you know, just I don't think that there's a prescribed way to do this. You know, again, these are my things that I'm going to focus on, that I want to suggest that you just think about and really kind of, you know, put yourself into the student's position and think, you know, what would make this easier for me if I were a student in this class, and try to, you know, reach out to them in that way.
We're running a little bit behind, but we do have a couple more questions in the chat. So if you don't mind answering those in the chat, I'm going to turn it over to Donna.
Sure. Well, hello. You're nearing the end of your morning here, and I'm going to spend about 30 minutes to do both of my sections, I think. I don't think I need much longer than that, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. So I'm actually going to talk to you about 2 things. One is I'm just going to kind of go through some supports for faculty and staffs, just to kind of talk about those a little bit. Some of them you know about or you've already been in contact with. We just want to make sure that you are aware of them if for some reason you haven't heard about them. And then I am going to talk a little bit about Title IX and what that means here on a college campus. So I'm going to share. All right, I was really hoping I was going to do like my slideshow. I thought I had it ready, so let me try again. Oh, wait. So, all right. So there are a couple of things that we've talked about already. One is support guides, and those are the people that you have already met. And during this whole onboarding process, and each of you has a support guide. There's a group of you. I'm learning, we're going to call them pods, I guess. That's a word I've been hearing a lot now. Instead of cohorts, people are calling these little groups that we do pods. So those are the people that are there to support you. Also in your divisions, you will be, in your departments, you'll be assigned a mentor who is going to, and your department chair or dean is going to assist with that. So you'll also have a mentor from your area to support you. The support guides from us are there to help you through the whole first year academy. That's their specific purpose. But the mentors are there to answer questions too. They're just as knowledgeable and can help guide you through questions that you're going to have literally every minute of every day for the next few months. The next thing I want to talk about is technology support services. If you haven't already connected with through your dean about what you need to do to make sure that you have the equipment that you need, you want to go through your dean to do that. So technology support services, you'll hear us refer to it as TSS. And inevitably soon, someone's going to say to you, well, have you talked to TSS about that? Well, that's who TSS is. They are the technology support services. There's the link for the email for the help desk and their extension. Jennifer Laval is the director of technology. And then each of our areas, it used to be by building. I'm not sure how they may still be doing it by building in our new environment, but they are able to, for example, in my area, Chris Martin is the one assigned to help with technology issues for my division and the things that I do. So he and I used to meet every week or every other week to talk about issues and problems that people were having. And then people that are in my division, if they're having trouble with their laptop, their computer, any of those kinds of technology things, they would do a help desk ticket. And you just fill it out and it may ask you to sign in, which is going to be exactly like you sign in for anything else with your, the same logins that you have for other things. So they are available to assist you now. If you do not have a campus laptop and you need one, then you need to talk to your dean about getting that done because your dean will have to approve the request. But those are important people to know. They're helpful, they're great. They just are more than happy to help out with anything you might need, including how to log on or why your computer won't do what it's supposed to do. Even though you think you've done everything you're supposed to do, invariably it's always my fault. It's some user issue that I have when I call technology. They're like, well, did you do this? Oh, sorry, I forgot to do that part. So it's usually my fault, but they are very, very helpful. So we love our TSS department. Also, I know you've probably already had some contact with Dr. Jody Steele or Sue Yang, who I think Sue's on here. She's our new instructional designer as of July something. And then John Wilson. So these three people are the three people who can help you with Canvas, technology issues that you're having as far as your distance or remote learning. If you can't make something work in Canvas or you've tried something and you think, oh no, I messed it all up. They are the people that can help you do that. And again, when I taught online, invariably it was my fault. When I couldn't make something work, it's because I hadn't clicked the right thing to say, oh, I want this to do this. Although my students were always very good at letting me know when I had not made something visible. I would send out my stuff. I would always open my classes on a Friday for the following week, so they had the whole weekend to get started. And then I would just not think about it for a few days because I had it all done. And then on Monday or Tuesday, I would have 27 emails. I can't access that. That's not opening up. Invariably, it was my fault. But these people are people that can help you figure that out. So if you haven't already made connection with them, they are people that can help you do that. So also things that you're going to be hearing about are going to be tenure committee and sabbaticals. Sabbaticals you're not eligible for 6 years, so you've got some time. But your tenure is going to start right away. Tenure review committees are going to be important. You're going to want to attend the information session in a couple of weeks. That'll be announced. Information on tenure is in the contract. It's spelled out very specifically about the process and what we have to do. Your dean will take the lead, and you will have a tenure committee that usually consists of 2 faculty and the dean. Sometimes it can be the dean's designee, but most of us as deans like to be on the tenure review committees. So you're going to be hearing about that, but that's another place that you'll have support because the faculty members on your review committee are there to help you and help you be successful. And then other faculty supports for you. Any of the division dean, all of us are more than happy to answer questions and help you out if you need something. Our Vice President of Instruction, Don Lopez, any of our vice presidents are helpful, but you know, Don's the one with the answers for everything to have to do with instruction. Any of the new faculty equity academy planning team, as I talked about a little bit earlier today, all of us are ready and willing to help you. You've heard from one of our librarians. We have several, and they are also willing to help. Our tutorial coordinators and counselors. And I know you heard from Julie Preston Smith yesterday about our student success teams and how that works. So these are all the people that are available to you for you to get support from. If they don't know the answer, they will know who to call and contact or email to get the answer. Because a lot of times I get questions like, I don't know. So I think I know who might know the answer to that. And so that's part of what we do. And I think here at Fresno City, we do, I think we've come a long way since I started full-time as to how we do all this. But I think that's great because I think we keep improving and we just are collaborative and all want to work together. And so if you have anything during the semester you have a question about and you can't find an answer to it, feel free to email me or call me because I would be more than happy to try and help solve the problem or figure out who we need to talk to about certain things. So we just I know that was a really fast with all that information, but I just wanted to make sure you knew about all this. And this part of the slideshow will also be posted in Padlet so that you have access to it. So any questions about that? I've seen a lot show up in the chat, but I don't know if somebody else has answered most of them or not.
Donna, there is a question. I've emailed TSS, but do you know if there's Mac laptops available for checkout?
Mac?
Mac.
No. That would be a special request. If you need a Mac specifically, you'll need to talk to your dean about that because there are only a few certain disciplines that use Macs. So you would need to talk to the dean about that.
And the rest were all answered.
Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna move into the most exciting thing that you're ever gonna hear in the 3 days that you're here, and that is Title IX. I know it is the most exciting thing for you to hear about. So let me pull up my Title IX basics. So why am I the one talking to you about Title IX? That's because I'm one of our Title IX investigators at Fresno City College. So I'm going to give you just really some really basic information about it. Almost all of us have heard the term Title IX, and all of us know that it is probably a federal law, which it is. And in that federal law, we talk about, it talks about that we won't deny on the basis of, I need to move all of you out of my window because I can't, there you go. On the basis of sex or excluded from participation in any education program or activity. So normally when we think of Title IX, we think of athletics. That's where we often hear a lot of it in the public sphere is about Title IX and athletics, a lot of lawsuits over the last number of years that had to do with athletics and about being equal between genders for a lot of things. So scholarships, program budgets, coaching salaries, participation, the number of sports that you have. So it's always a balancing act to make sure. But Title IX also deals with this and is sexual misconduct. So under Title IX, it includes these things: sexual discrimination, harassment, and that can be verbal or nonverbal harassment, sexual assault and violence, intimate partner, domestic violence, sexual exploitation, and stalking, both in person and online. So this is another big piece, and that's what the Title IX investigators are for this piece. Our Title IX investigators on campus don't investigate issues with athletics, but we do investigate these kinds of issues. So people often think, why is Title IX so important? Basically, it protects everyone. It's not just about athletics, and it's not just about sexual discrimination, but it protects our students, us, you know, applicants, although we're an open institution, so we don't have a basis for admitting our students or employment, but it helps to protect all of us. And you see that little thing in red, that gender identity is no longer protected under Title IX if this is the basis for the harassment or discrimination. That has been a new policy in the last couple of years. They have revised Title IX in the last couple of years. I spent, yes, this is true, 2.5 hours yesterday with 5 other people, and all we did was to reread all of our administrative regulations, board policies in great detail to make sure that they are in compliance with the new Title IX guidelines. That's how I spent my Monday afternoon. So I wanted to share all that with all of you. All right, so what does the school have to do? Why is this important for you as an instructor? Why do you need to know about this? Well, the school has certain obligations. One, we have to have at least one person who's the Title IX coordinator. That happens to be Dean Lorraine Smith. She is the Dean of Allied Health, Athletics. I don't think that's the relevant, physical education. I don't remember, but she oversees all of our allied health, our physical education. So she is our Title IX coordinator for the campus. And then there are a few of us, Sean Henderson from counseling, one of the counseling deans, he's also an investigator. I'm an investigator. Dr. Lataria Hall, who is the vice president for student services, sort of oversees all of that, which is true for all of our campuses. And so we all belong to a district-wide group. So once we know of something, of possible violations, we have to take immediate action. We have to operate on good faith, and we have to take steps to protect the complainant and the responding party. And so, so those are all important things that we have to work on. And that's a part of our obligations, as well as we have to give an equal opportunity for both parties to present witnesses and other evidence. So, but we use the preponderance of evidence standard, which is something that's more likely than not. We don't have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, because obviously we're not lawyers. So, so we do an investigation. We'll talk to both parties. We collect evidence and all of that. But the important thing for you as a faculty member is, sorry, I skipped one, is that you are a responsible employee. And this is why it's really important for you to have some knowledge. You're going to get a lot more information on all of this when you go to the new employee orientation that HR does, but we wanted to give you a little flavor of it so you would know we are all responsible employees. I have the title of Title IX investigator, but even before I was trained as an investigator, I was a responsible employee. So a responsible employee is someone who has the authority to take action and address any sexual misconduct, someone who's been given the duty of reporting incidences, or someone that a student or an employee could reasonably, I still didn't say that right, believe has either the authority or the duty. So as faculty, even if we weren't in the first two categories, a student would reasonably believe that we could do something if they tell us about a problem. And so that's why it's important for you to be aware that you are reasonably expected to do that if you have knowledge. So about this. And so I'm going to show you in a few minutes how a little bit about where you find more information on that. Then the other thing that happened in 2013 is that we were mandated to provide extensive primary prevention and awareness programs. And so this is part of that. That's why you're hearing this today. And so there are things that we need to, training for employees, training you on how to identify and prevent sexual misconduct, how to respond to or report allegations of sexual misconduct, how to provide contact information for students, for the to students for the Title IX coordinator, who that person is, the campus police, law enforcement, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And you need to understand the definition of being a responsible employee and how to respond to a complainant's request for confidentiality. And here's the thing, we can't guarantee a student confidentiality. If a student comes to us and tells us about something and then says, but I don't want you to tell anyone, we have to tell them that we can't guarantee that. We can't guarantee that we can keep it confidential. Because once it comes to us as an investigator and we start the investigation and goes to the Title IX coordinator, it's quite possible, well, the new regulations, it will happen because now we have to share all of the information we gather with the responding party. So let's say I was your student and I came and told you that a student in the class had been stalking me, and they were waiting for me outside of the class every time, and they followed me to places, and I had told them to leave me alone and they wouldn't, and I had a problem with that, but I don't want to report it because I don't want to get him in trouble. So now you're a responsible party. So now you have information that you can't keep to yourself. We have a student who has a problem. So you might decide to go talk to Lorraine Smith, the coordinator, about it and say, what should I do? How should I handle this? And she'll give you some advice. So let's say it keeps happening and I come back to you as your student and say, I really need to do something about this. What do I need to do? But is it possible to keep my name out of it? In that situation, no, it isn't possible because the responding party, the student that's being accused of stalking me, has the right to know who's stalking. I mean, who's accusing him of stalking. We wouldn't be able to figure it out. And on top of that, let's say the investigator does an investigation, gets all this information, what we call the responding party. He now has a right to every piece of information we've gathered. In the past, we didn't have to share all of that, but the new regulations require we have to hand over everything, every piece of evidence or investigation we've gotten, including the names. So we no longer we just can't guarantee a student that their name will not be out. Or let's say a student wants to report, my friend is having this happen to them and they're afraid to talk to anyone, but it's getting really bad. This guy's threatened her. Then again, you want to talk to Lorraine about it. And once a Title IX complaint is made, then it gets turned over to the investigator to do so. Earlier, Ben talked about, with Psych Services, Sam, he talked about a thing called Maxient, which is what we're using for discipline referrals. And you'll get a training on that later. All faculty will, because we haven't brought all faculty on board. A thing called COVID interrupted all of our trainings that we were going to do. So, but those are just important things to know. There are people like Lorraine and me and Sean Henderson and Dr. Hall that if you want to talk about it to try and figure out how to help a student, that's what we're there for. We also have to do training for students. So all students are required to take a Title IX training. All employees have to go through, you'll get this information again. Sometime in your first year, you're going to need to do the sexual harassment training. There's 4 or 5 modules that you'll have to go through. All of our student workers are also required to take all of this. And then we have students have to do certain Title IX trainings as well. And so that is important. This might be a repeat because, oh no, this is some addition. I know it's tiny and I even made it less information on this page, but this is also something that may impact you as an instructor. Not as much now since we're all online, but we have to protect the rights of pregnant and parenting students. So it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of pregnancy, childbirth, miscarriage, abortion, or related conditions, including recovery. So a student has the right to take medical leave and not be harassed for it. And some of you may say, why would that happen? It does. It does. I won't say any more than that. It just does. And so we have to be careful of that. So if a student says to you, they revealed to you that they were pregnant, and let's say they had a miscarriage and they can't take the exam that's supposed to be that next morning because they're dealing with a miscarriage. You need to accommodate that. We can't discriminate because of that. I mean, I think we would because we're all compassionate people, but by law, we have to do that. We have to allow them time off from school as long as their doctor says. So, you know, let's say a student starts college this fall, but they're not due until January. But all of a sudden they have complications that develop in October and they have to be off for that. We need to accommodate that. So now you can have a student that requests accommodation just to you, and they may not have talked to anyone about it, but we would like to make sure that you tell us about it, because so that we can document what we're doing for our pregnant and parenting students. So we would really like you to do that. If you have a student who's asking for some accommodation for their pregnancy, go ahead and contact either me or Lorraine Smith about that. So that's just, we just wanted you to know about that. So then, well, what if, oh my gosh, your student talks to you about some sexual misconduct and it's reported directly to you? What do you do then? Call Lorraine Smith. That's who you email Lorraine Smith and say, what do I do? What's the process? Because she will help you do that and help you walk through that process. So I'm gonna go to our website here in just a minute, but I just wanted to show you this slide with Lorraine Smith's information. And then our district, at the district office, Stacy Zuniga is our district director of HR, but she's also our Title IX director or coordinator. Not exactly sure what the title is that she has at HR. So, so these would be the people that you would talk to. So I want to show you on the website really quick where you need to go. I told you this would be the most exciting thing that you were going to do all morning was to do that. So when you go to our main website, when you do fresnocitycollege.edu, I'm going to show you this really quick. I now have too many windows open, so I never know which one I'm supposed to be looking at. So here is our main webpage, fresnocitycollege.edu. And you see here that we have this that says About. And in this list, here is Title IX. And does everybody see the Title IX page, or do I need to go to a new page? Okay, all right. So Title IX, and this is the last bit of information. If you go to that page, it has a lot of stuff. It really says some of what I already told you, talks about rights and responsibilities. You can also direct a student to this page. If a student feels like they have a Title IX complaint, they can be directed to this page. Here's our rights and responsibilities that I just talked about. Policies and procedures. We have a lot. You don't want to read them unless you really have to, but this is all of our administrative regulations about it. If you are a policy wonk and you really want to do that and you have, you know, nothing but time, you can do that. And then the process. And so a student's rights and regarding pregnancy and childbirth. So if we were on campus, we do have we have a special room for lactation for students that are nursing, so that they can, so that they have a place on campus where they can go, and if they need to pump or anything like to pump milk and stuff while they're here on campus, we have a place for them to do that. Since they're not on campus, some of those issues aren't going to apply as much. And yes, Keith, thank you. Pay attention. That was DeVos that has made these changes. Thank you, DeVos. So anyway, so that's just a brief overview, the basics of Title IX. There's obviously a lot of depth there. If you're very special, you won't ever have to deal with a Title IX issue in your career. But my guess is at some point in time in your career, you're probably going to have a Title IX issue. It may be something like, you know, domestic violence, where somebody in your class is being physically abused by a spouse or something like that. We have just lots of interesting things that happen on our campus that some of those will not be happening because they're not on campus, but you may be hearing about some of them in your classrooms or in the writing that students do, or some of the narratives that they give back to you as you develop your relationships with them. So any questions about that?
Donna, I have a question.
Yes.
So I know there are equity issues with asking for proof about, you know, medical conditions, but for the ones you mentioned, we are not allowed to ask for proof, right? If somebody says they had a miscarriage, right? Or is that wrong?
Well, we can ask for a doctor's note. We follow whatever our regular policy is for a medical. So if a student says they were sick for a week, we can ask for a doctor's note for that to verify that they were sick for a week. And so we can do the same for a miscarriage, as long as that policy is the same and we're not burdening students who are pregnant more than we would burden a student who was just, say, out for a week or 2 weeks. But I think it's a good question because it also brings up, because of the times that we're in, we may have students who get COVID-19 who may be sick for more than a week, right? They may have a family member who has COVID, and so they're trying to take care of, that's now an additional burden on them. And we need to just, and you'll hear this from your deans, we want to just be as sensitive as we can to our students for any of these things. Now, I know some students will take advantage of it. One semester I had a student who missed a test because they were in the hospital for 3 days over the weekend. And I was like, okay, it was online. So, I mean, they could have finished it if they had done it at the beginning of the week, but you know, students, they wait till the day that it's actually due, preferably the hour before it's due, before they actually start their test, right? So but I thought, you know, that's fine, I'll accommodate her. I wasn't gonna make her proof. And so, I don't know, a month or so later, she had a similar thing, but it was her grandma that was in the hospital and she couldn't do the test. And I thought, all right, fine. Because, you know, I had students from all over the state. So I thought, that's fine, I'll accommodate. And then during the final that week, she didn't do her final. And lo and behold, the day at like literally 5 o'clock when finals were done, she sent me a note to say that she had been in the hospital for 3 days and had not been able to complete her final. So at that point I did say, you know, this is your third hospitalization excuse this semester. I actually do, in order for me to reopen the final, I have to have a doctor's note. And she did not procure one because I'm sure she was not actually in the hospital. So I would say, as a former instructor and as a dean, be as accommodating as you can to students. And if they're out and they just tell you, I had a miscarriage, or I went into labor early, I'm going to be in the hospital, and it's going to, you know, I'm having complications from a pregnancy, then I think accommodate it as best you can, but let Lorraine know so that we can document that, so we have a record of what we're doing to accommodate our students. But if it's an ongoing thing, obviously students can withdraw for the semester. I know some students don't want to do that, but if it's really going to impact their learning, because now it's, you know, 3 weeks time, you know, then you can talk to them about early withdrawal. They might want to talk to a counselor about that, about what that is. We do know that we have the early withdrawal option for COVID-related issues with no questions asked for a student, but that also can impact their financial aid. So that's another reason that I think your role is to be as supportive as you can, but also ask them, have you talked to financial aid about this? Have you talked to one of our counselors about this, to make sure it's not going to like follow them, right, for a couple of semesters. So we don't want them to have to pay back financial aid because they decided to drop out of class. And if they say, well, I think I'll just drop because of what's going on with my, the baby or this or that, have them make sure they talk to financial aid and or a counselor before they make the decision to withdraw, so they know all the information. So.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, I totally hear you, and I agree, you need to, of course, students have to complete the work. Ultimately, they have to, in order to pass, they need to meet the objectives of the class. But in terms of asking for notes, I think we need to be really careful. I used to do that, and I don't anymore, because some students don't have access to healthcare, so somebody could be sick with COVID and just literally not be able to go to the doctor to get a note. I mean, it's hard to even get a test right now. So I would say be really, really careful about, I never ask for notes anymore, because a lot of our students do not have health insurance. And so asking them for a doctor's note can really put them in a bad place. And I still, sometimes students will bring proof. Like, I've had students bring me their hospital bracelets. Like, it's cool, I believe you. So I think we should err on the side of assuming they're telling us the truth.
Yes.
As much as possible.
They're students, and many of them don't have health care. They don't have, the school nurse is also a good place to refer students, right? If they're sick, and the nurse might be able to help them find a doctor that can see them, or healthcare if they need that. But I agree with Carrie. I think we really just, especially during this time, I would so err on the side of my students being honest with me and telling me, the gospel truth, and I'm going to accommodate you to the best of my ability. Again, if we notice that they're just not able to catch up or make up the work, then we need to have a chat with them and say, hey, this looks like you're really struggling. What else can we do? Referring them to tutoring services. And I did want to mention, since I oversee tutoring, we have fabulous tutoring program. Absolutely. We employ over 400 tutors, student tutors every semester. So we provide a lot of students with work as well. But our drop-in tutoring services, they also have they have Zoom sessions and drop-in tutoring to help students with Zoom, to help students with Canvas, to help them with some computer issues. So that's another place of help for your students, and that they can help you out with. So, but anyway, so yeah, so I mean, our students come to us with a lot of issues. The big things are, of course, anything with sexual harassment or discrimination. And if it's related to pregnancy, we need to be, or parenting. It could be a male student who says, my girlfriend, whatever, just had a baby and last night, and there's just no way I can, log in for the next 3 days to get that test done. Oh, okay. I mean, students are pretty honest about things, and you would want to accommodate that for that student. So, all right, that's all I have, unless there are other questions.
I thank you so much, Donna. I'm checking time. I think we have just a couple of questions, if there's any other questions. I think they might have all gotten answered in the chat. Any other questions for Donna? All right, thank you so much, Donna. And she's mentioned a couple times she's here if you have other questions. Did I hear somebody chiming in?
I was just going to say, I'm probably going to log off. I've gotten a series of text messages from my team that they need to talk to me. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. All right, I think I am up next. I'm going to go super quick. So I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to give you just an introduction to roles and constituencies. And it's it's a lot of information, so I just want to basically familiarize you with it and not, oh, you don't need to see my email. Hold on. I don't know what's in there. 1 second. This is the one I want. Here's the one I want. Okay. So when we're looking at the organization of Fresno City College, and we have organizational charts and all the people that work here, I just wanted to give you just a broad overview. So Carol and Ray yesterday talked about the demographics of our students and the demographics of our faculty and staff, the employees at Fresno City College. But when you look at the overall campus population, and Dr. Goldsmith mentioned this yesterday, we have, last year we had 37,781 students for the year. Our total employees are 1,300, and that breaks down to 305 classified staff, 310 tenure track faculty, and 658 non-tenure track faculty, and then 31 management. So I'll talk about that just a little bit, but that was the total breakdown. So when we talk about I'm going to show you guys an organizational chart. Let's see, new share. I want to do 1 second. The first time I saw this, I just wanted to cry. It just is so complicated. This is an organizational chart. This is from our accreditation a couple of years ago. So some of the people have changed. I was looking down at the coordinators down here, and I think almost none of them are the same. I'm down here. This is now Julio Trevino, who's on the line with us, the honors program coordinator. Are you seeing the organizational chart? Okay, awesome. So when we look at this is primarily mostly management, other than the coordinators down here. Those are mostly faculty. I believe all coordinators are faculty, but so that's pretty crazy that we've got this organizational chart that's just pretty massive. And then if you scroll down, you see there's PIO, and then we've got, this is just instructional. So we've got the instructional areas with the directors and the deans and the coordinators. So it's pretty crazy. So that's one division. So I'm not going to scroll through that whole thing. Go back to my other one. So when we're talking about areas, as we saw in that last chart, the broad areas are instructional and student services. Wait, let me go back. I thought I had this part down. Let me make sure I get it correct though. So the broad areas are instruction, student services, business, and institutional services. So we have, and now we have educational services as well since this last one with Robert that oversees that. So we've got VPs, institutional services, that's overseen by the president, and then we've got VPs for the other areas. Of course, the district is the next level up, so that's not a part of the campus organizational structure. And then when we're talking about those areas, we also have underneath that divisions. So for instructional, we have instructional divisions. We have 8 instructional divisions. And then within a division, we have a department. So each division has a various, it's not set number, a various number of departments. So I'm in humanities, we have, is it 5 now? We just reorged. Do you remember, Julio, how many we have total departments since we did our reorganization?
Or in English?
In humanities. 5.
There's 3 for English, philosophy, languages, and
foreign languages. Is there 6?
EMLS. And EMLS, thank you.
I think EMLS is no longer, aren't they no longer a department? Anyway, so we've got a certain, so the departments within the division, so each division has a certain number of departments. And then within a department, you might have different disciplines. So there's some disciplines that are smaller, so they come together to make up a larger department. So philosophy is recently its own department, but up until last year, we were a discipline within the letters department that was made up of a lot of other, or English literature as well. So and humanities. So we have, you know, various disciplines that can make up a department. And then when we're talking about instruction, I wanted to talk a little bit about instructional versus non-instructional. Actually, I'll do that down here. So we have instructional divisions and non-instructional divisions. And then we have instructional and non-instructional faculty. So when we're talking about representation, there's 4 main constituency groups. So we have students, classified, faculty, management. The students is associated student government. The classified has a classified senate. Faculty have the academic senate. And then management, they don't have that, they don't have a representative voting body, but it's primarily made up, or management consists of the president, the vice presidents, the deans, and directors. So all those are management positions. So when you're talking about faculty, instructional and non-instructional, so coordinators are faculty that are non-instructional, and there's a couple of that are actually with us today that are in the new group of people. So we have some non-instructional faculty, and this was something that was confusing to me when I started. So counselors are faculty. So we never distinguish. This happens all the time, and you just gotta, you know, bite your tongue when you do this, or, you know, throw it out the window. Counselors are faculty, so never distinguish between faculty and counselors. So what we would say is instructional and non-instructional faculty. So if you teach, you're an instructional faculty member, but there are other faculty members that are non-instructional. And we're all under the academic senate in terms of our representation. So our voice is heard. Carla talked about that back when we did our orientation, that first meeting we had. So our faculty voices are heard through the academic senate, and we all have representation through our departments. Primarily, there are a couple of other areas that have representation, but primarily our representation is through departments. Management, as I mentioned, is presidents, vice presidents, deans, and directors. And in terms of the organization, it kind of goes, you know, from the low rung would be directors, not the low rung, but they report to deans or vice presidents. Deans report to vice presidents, and then vice presidents report to the president. So that's just, I just wanted to give you, again, a lot of this, I didn't really understand the difference between a director and a coordinator until fairly recently. So this takes years, and I've been here since 2006, to kind of to wrap your head around. It takes a little while, but I just wanted to give you a little taste of the number of employees that we have and the students, and how our roles kind of fit together in our representation. So most decision-making, when we talk about shared governance, Carla talked about 10+1. If you are involved in academic senate, you'll hear a lot about that. But most of the decision-making is by recommendations to the president. And then ultimately, the board of trustees is the ultimate decider of all things happening on campus. Most of the time, they just defer to the decisions that we're making here. But that's just in a real quick nutshell how that works. Oh, and 31 management, I think I did not have that on the slide. So I'm not going to, if there's any questions, you can put them in the chat. I think this was just a FYI, just get your feet wet a little bit with this stuff. And then I'm going to turn it over to Keith Ford, who is our union president, and he's going to talk a little bit about the union.
Okay. I think I have enough time, but if I don't, would it be okay if we just kept the meeting open if anybody has questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm happy to hang out. So yeah, I'm Keith Ford. I happen to be starting as a full-time tenure track person, just like you. So I was an adjunct before and started the presidency as an adjunct. So it's good to see a lot of you I already know, and a lot of you I've worked with for a long time. I have a longer spiel, but I'd like that I'm going to kind of step away from, but I would like to say congratulations. This is a job people don't leave, right? This is a job that you can have for the rest of your professional life, and you will be well paid and well taken care of and have a source of pride from your work. guaranteed. And the reason I can guarantee that is because of the union. We've been around and protecting this institution for 56 years now, since 1964. Before it was even legal to unionize in the educational setting, we had a union. So very, very proud about that. Let me sidebar really quickly about Title IX, because it relates to something that one of your rights as a union member. As a member of State Center Federation of Teachers, or actually just as any full-time employee, even if you're not a member of the union, you have the right to representation in a disciplinary hearing. These are called Weingarten rights. So if you are in a meeting with a dean or a vice president and it looks like it could get disciplinary in any way, you have the right to stop the meeting until we can come and represent you there, until you have union representation. And so you basically just need to say, I'm invoking my Weingarten rights. And you don't need anything more complicated than that. Believe me, your administrator knows what these are. Okay, and if they try to continue the meeting, walk out. Okay, we can sue them for that, and we will. This doesn't happen at all in this institution. They're very good about this. Like I said, the sidebar for Title IX, it was recently decided that if you're involved in a Title IX investigation, it can lead to discipline, right? So we have the right to be there as your representatives. Before, let's see, I think before about 2 years ago, it was sort of up in the air as to whether or not you could have a representative at a Title IX investigation. You should always, always, always have us with you at those. They are scary. And the Title IX investigations that I'm talking about that you should be afraid of is, let's say a student says that you made a pass at them, you made them uncomfortable, you made some sort of pejorative remark about any kind of protected class, right? Any of those things, and there's a longer list. You will get a very intimidating letter from the district, and which is very boilerplate, you should know, but it's still scary. Contact us immediately. Okay, and we will be there with you. One of the things that you get specifically from being a member of the union, and if I can share my screen, I'll show our website. You're going to see my email briefly, but go away. There we go. One of the things that you get from being a member is the right to have legal representation, not just representation from one of us, from me or from your grievance rep. So we can have you meet for free with our lawyer, who's been an education rights lawyer for us, representing our specific local union for 35 years. He's one of the best in the state. So can everybody see the union website? Hopefully, yes. Okay. So on the right-hand side, there is the Join Today button. You can join, you can sign up for the union today online. If you are already a member, and let's say that you were teaching part-time for us, you should probably rejoin just in case. Occasionally, your paperwork gets lost in the transition. If you're new to the institution, then you definitely need to join. The website is pretty handy. We're pretty proud of it. It's got our contracts in it. It's got some benefits, some calendar information, lots of publications. Let's see. And the Weingarten rights are also here just further down the homepage. Let me see. I don't want to inundate you with too much information. It's been a busy couple of days. So what you need to know, I'll put in the chat really quickly. Okay, that is our website. And this, sorry, I live by the airport. This is the email address for our grievance VP at Fresno City College. Mark Trezza, he's over in political science. you should reach out to him if you have any trouble. And if you can't get hold of him, you can reach out to me, or you can reach out to both of us. I really don't mind. And that's my personal email at the bottom. So I don't know if there are any questions. What I would, I guess the last thing that I really wanted to make sure that you know is that we have a pretty good relationship with this college's administration. And you should be, you can be confident of that. Most of your deans were faculty beforehand. Most of them were faculty fairly recently, so they haven't forgotten what it's like to teach. Even Don Lopez, our Vice President of Instruction, was an instructor. So he does know what it's like to be in the classroom. That is helpful. I lost my train of thought, but we do have, there we go, but we do have some problems at the district level. And we have problems with overreach and problems with people kind of telling us how to do our jobs and how not to do our jobs. What you need to know is anything concerning working conditions, benefits, pay, treatment, all of those things. Those are within our power to defend you for. Okay, and the district cannot make you do something that is outside of the contract. Normally they know that, normally they're pretty good, but occasionally we do have to get involved. So you should definitely look at your contract. You should definitely read over the tenure section. The contract is on our website under contracts, very helpfully. And I believe the tenure track section is Article 13, okay? Also, don't be afraid of that process. Okay, I think Donna mentioned this as well as Carrie did too. It's supposed to be a supportive process. It is supposed to be a process that is meant to nurture you into being a contributing and productive member of the institution for the rest of your career. Okay, and I understand that it's scary, and I understand that occasionally people get bad committees. We've probably all heard horror stories about that. Get us involved if that happens to you. We can help. Okay, and the last thing that I really wanted to point out before I can take questions, because I know I've just sort of rambled, is as we embark into an entirely online, almost entirely at home semester, I want you to remember to protect yourselves. Okay, remember to protect yourselves from burnout. Remember to protect yourselves from too much exposure to your students. I fully agree with all of our equity and inclusion mandates. Well, not mandates, but recommendations. I've worked with Ray extensively on them, so I'm familiar with and have authored some of these. But I also recognize, guys, we are supposed to be 40-hour-a-week employees. There's no fucking way that that's going to happen, right? Absolutely no way that that's going to happen in these conditions, right? With us having to be available by email all the time, having our office hours at weird times so that we can accommodate working students, all of those things. You need to protect yourselves so that you don't burn out. Okay, you need to protect yourselves so that you remember that you also have committee duties and service to the college to perform so that you can continue to make tenure, so that you can continue along the tenure process. Okay, because if all you have when you write your tenure review at the end of the fall is, I've been teaching my butt off, that's not enough. Okay, so make sure that you set this specific amount of time aside and have some boundaries, right? You can even put these in your syllabuses, you should, so that your students know when not to contact you and so that you've got some time to recharge, right? Because the temptation and the trap of teaching online like this, and a lot of us found this out in the spring, right? Is that we were always on. And it's mentally exhausting and it's emotionally exhausting. Your back hurts, right? Because you're not getting up and moving around, right? You've got 9 or 10 hours of Zoom meetings in a day. Set yourself some boundaries, okay? Especially with respect to, not only with respect to teaching, right? But with respect to your committees, okay? For your first year, it is it is not particularly wise, let's put it that way, to be over ambitious with your committees. Pick one or two that you're passionate about and get involved in those. Right? You saw the governance or the administrative chart that Carrie put up, right? It gets way more complex if you want to look into like committee structures and how to get involved, right? There's so much to do and so much to plug into. Find one or two of these things. Talk to your faculty mentor. They're a great resource for that. You can tell them what you're interested in and they can point you in the right direction. Julio did that for me. Okay, so I know that it sounds, you know, kind of anti-student, right? But you've got to protect yourselves, right? You've got to make sure that you can continue to do this work, not just through December, right? If you put everything you've got into this semester, you're going to fail in spring, right? You're going to have a nervous breakdown. Or you know, not to frighten you, right? But you won't make tenure. And we had that happen district-wide. We lost 3 people last year because they got overcommitted and overburdened, and they didn't use the resources available to them, and they're not around anymore. So I really don't want that to happen to you. I know everyone else in this call wants you to succeed as well. So that's probably enough, and I probably freaked you out. So
it was a little scary, but it was really. And it's a really, really good reminder. I think you're absolutely right. And you should be hearing that from your mentors and your tenure faculty, your tenure committee. Do not overwork yourself. So let's see in the chat, Michael said the academy and its activities count towards your responsibilities for this first year. Yes. So if you're doing things for this activity, you do not have to do extra committees. It counts towards that obligation. So that 5-hour obligation is pretty wide open. And yeah, don't do the curriculum committee. So talk to people. I will say that right off the bat. I was chair for 4 years. There's some heavy lifting committees, and your mentors and your faculty support guides will know which ones those are. Academic Senate I find to be a very light committee. It sounds like it's a really, it's a pretty, there's a time commitment, but the actual mental weight is a lot less than program review or curriculum committee. So make sure you're talking to people about that. Keith, I had 2 questions for you.
Sure.
When I started, somebody actually came to my office, I remember, who was from the union. I don't even remember who it was, and they're long gone, and talked to me about the union. Do you reach out does the union still reach out to new faculty and talk to them about the benefits of joining and that kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, we do. In fact, you'll see a longer presentation with the NEO, the new employee orientation that HR puts on. Legally, they have to give us, I think, 15 minutes. And then we do try to reach out individually on campus normally, right? We've been calling people and trying to set up phone appointments or Zoom appointments. We've been doing town halls. So there is a lot of outreach to try to get people involved, to try to get people to know what their benefits and advantages are. So yeah, we still do that. We had all kinds of grand plans for the end of last semester and this semester, and we're trying to re-articulate just like everyone else. So
I just want to clarify 2 of the benefits that I think are, just tell me if this is accurate. You get to go to the meetings where you're talking about when you're bringing negotiations back, and you get to vote on what the union negotiators are, right? So there's some benefit in terms of you actually have input that you don't have if you're not a member.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing me back. Thank you for bringing me back from my rabbit trail. Yes, there are explicit specific benefits to joining the union, 2 of which Carrie's absolutely right about. You get to participate in the ratification vote for a contract. So every so often, it's usually about every 3 years, we go into negotiations for a new contract, which includes changes in salary schedule, right? So how our raises are going to happen. It also can include things like changes to the tenure process. So it's important, and you want to have a vote in that, and you only have a vote if you're a member. You also, as a member, can attend our executive committee meetings if you'd like. If you really want to know what's going on in the district from an exclusively faculty perspective, there are only two places to go. One is Academic Senate, and the other is one of our exec meetings. So those are at the last Monday of every month, obviously on Zoom right now. The other benefit is that you get to participate in union elections, and you can even hold office on the executive council. So those typically happen in the spring, and they're every year. So because we have cycling seats, so every term is for 2 years, and everybody is on offset years, so that we don't have an entirely we wouldn't have an entire shift in leadership in 1 year. So, and beyond that, there are quite a few other benefits that come with. I mean, there are like travel discounts and things like that. There are access to workshops, like student loan debt workshops, where we can get you signed up. Now that you're a full-time employee, it's very easy to get you signed up for the public service loan forgiveness, where you can get the remainder of your. You can get into an easy payment plan for your student loans, and then have the remainder of it forgiven after 10 years. So there's that. Lots of other stuff, retirement workshops, benefit workshops. And I saw a question, I think privately on dues that is relevant to everyone. So union dues are based on a sliding scale that starts out, so everybody pays a flat rate of just under $38. And then after that, it gets added on by a certain sliding calculation that can get you up to a maximum total of $82. So most of you will probably start out paying about $63 a month. Just in case you were wondering, FTA, the Fresno Teachers Association, their dues are about $120 a month. So ours are much less onerous. So, other questions? I know I lost a few people. It's okay to drop off. Not going to hurt my feelings.
And before you drop off, though, let me just really quickly say, and then we can ask Keith more questions. A big chunk of tomorrow's meeting you're going to have with your faculty support guides. So think about any questions that you haven't had answered yet that you can bring to those sessions. And I think that was it. Okay, so other questions for Keith?
And just go ahead and unmute yourself. And
when are you vested in the union, Keith?
Vested?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a trade union. So you're a member. You're a member. You're good.
Okay, I started in March, and I've been asking about the union. I've seen your emails come across on my deal. So I have to go to the website, register as a union member, and then they'll automatically take it out, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what will happen is we get the form, we send it to HR, payroll and HR, and then they start doing the dues deductions.
Okay.
So pretty simple, and hopefully you never have to do it again. On that union form, there is the option to contribute to our political action committee, which is called COPE, Committee on Political Education. So if you want to do that, you can basically offer to have whatever amount of money additional taken out, and we put that in a separate account, and we use that for Board of Trustees races. So it's important to know, guys, and I think this has been spelled out a little bit, but it is important to know how much power you have as a tenure track and later on tenured faculty. Okay, administrators come and go. We are the institution. We and the classified professionals are the institution. We are its memory. We are its power. And one of the ways that we can make that manifest is by electing our bosses. The Board of Trustees has one employee, the chancellor, and then the chancellor manages all the rest of us. But we, through our COPE committee can greatly influence who that trustee is going to be, who's going to be on that board. So consider that. We're making a pretty concerted push to be involved fairly heavily in this election, and that's all I can say about that. So,
Keith,
if you,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
we got one in private question. Non-instructional faculty are faculty. In every sense of the word, you contribute and are just as valued to the institution as all the rest of us, and your rights and privileges are the same with the union and without. Absolutely. Yes, Carrie.
And there's a question in the chat about one-year temps.
Yeah, you should totally join. Totally join, because they're still, you know, you might still need us. And even if you don't, the reason that, I didn't want to get into the long game of this, but I suppose I will. The reason this is such a good job is because we have such high membership on the full-time side. Okay. How many of you were adjunct here? I know a few of you were, right? Okay, so there is a direct correlation here, and I'm not going to get too mathy on this, right? But being an adjunct here is a great side hustle, but it's a shitty job, right? You have no protections, very, very few rights, and you can be dismissed at any time, and the pay is crap, okay? Part-time membership to the union is about 60%. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, but we can't seem to break 65%, okay, ever. Full-time, and by the way, wages and payments for our part-timers are 67th out of the 72 districts in the state. 67th, right at the bottom, okay? Full-timers, however, depending on where you are in the columns, right, are 25th to 30th out of the state. So we're right squarely in the middle, which for Fresno is not bad, right? I mean, this is counting places like Santa Barbara and San Francisco, 25th to 30th. What's the membership percentage for full-timers? 93%. Pretty steady. We've gotten close to 95% a couple of times. Have a few libertarian haters, right? You know, I like them, but they don't like me. Anyway, so if you are a one-year temp, you should definitely join, right? It's trust me when I say this, that any administration would love to have a weak union. Even a good one, right? Would love to have a weak union, because then they don't have to bargain with us. They don't have to talk about safety conditions. They can just make you do whatever they want, right? And if you don't like it, you get fired. So all of those protections related to job security come from the union and come from a strong membership.
I have to mention one of our staunchest union reps now in the district was recently a VP in Madera, and he's actually been on, is John still on the negotiating team?
Yeah, he's chief negotiator this year.
Yeah,
super excited.
Yeah, he's chief negotiator, and he was on the other side. I think he was on the negotiating team for the administrators prior, right?
Yeah, he was.
Cool that we have somebody who really knows.
Yeah.
So he went back to the classroom.
if you guys get a chance, and you all probably will, to meet John Fitzer, he's a wonderful, wonderful person and a great asset to our team. He was a dean for a while. He was a VP for a while. And a little bit of inside baseball that I don't think he'd mind me sharing. The reason that he went back to the classroom, and I mean, this is a significant pay cut, right? Deans make about 160 grand a year, right? And he's an established professor, but that he lost about 50 grand a year. One of the reasons was when he was in negotiations for the other side, it was right around the time that the Affordable Care Act was had been introduced, and employers all over the state were trying to reckon with this. And the district, our district at that time, explicitly wrote things into the contract to make sure that part-timers were just below the ACA threshold so that they couldn't get any kind of benefits. And he was so disgusted that he left. So disgusted with them deliberately trying to withhold benefits from a large block of our employees that he decided to go back to the classroom. So yeah, definitely a man of principle.
And that made me think of two other things that I didn't know when I first started. That if you end up going into management at some point, you can have what's called retreat rights. So as a tenured faculty member, you can, like John was in management, a lot of people do this where they're in management for several years and then go back into the classroom. So management generally are at-will employees where they can be fired. But if you're a tenure track faculty member and you go into management, then you have those retreat rights. And also when you retire, you get paid for your top 3 salary years. Or not, you don't get paid for it, but your retirement is based off those top 3 salary years. So for somebody on who, is taking that massive pay cut, when he retires, his retirement will be based on the years that he was making 160 or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And I think you have to actually have gotten tenure to have the retreat rights. But yeah, it is something to keep in mind, right? As you progress in your career, if you jump over to the dark side, just do it for a year or 2, right? And then come back, and then you get good retirement. So, and if you're only there for a year or 2, then it doesn't seem like you lose your perspective on what it actually is to be a teacher. So, other questions? I don't mean to be down on all of our administrators. And by the way, here at FCC, the bulk of the deans and the bulk of the administrators are pretty good people. They're people of conscience. They are people who will follow the rules. And most of the time when there is a misunderstanding, it's because there's a misunderstanding, not because they're deliberately trying to screw you. Okay, they just don't know, or they haven't been informed, or they're fairly new in their position, right? We have 2 or 3 fairly new deans. So out of the 9, there's going to be some misunderstandings. There's going to be some wires crossed. Most of them are decent people. Other questions? Okay, I appreciate all the time. I didn't mean to drag it out. So
thank you, Keith. That was really helpful. So we'll see you all tomorrow. And as a reminder, a lot of the time will be spent with your faculty support guide. So it'll be a little bit lighter. We'll do a few things in the beginning of the session. And again, come with your questions that you haven't gotten answered yet, that you feel like you must know before the semester starts. So have a good rest of your afternoon, and we'll see you tomorrow.